This is Monty in the Morning, the show Phoenix Magazine readers voted #1 talk radio show in Arizona.
#1 during your morning commute.
#1 whenever news breaks during your day.
And #1 whenever and wherever you want to talk sports.
Now it's time for Monty in the Morning.
Hey, yo, man, how the heck are you? It is the Monty Show. Welcome in. Hi, friends. Hope you are well. We have got a lot to get to today. A BYU player quits the football team and enters the transfer portal. Are there bigger issues at BYU? Are they ready for Wyoming? We'll talk to Harris LaChance, BYU offensive lineman, coming up at 8:30. Thanks to our friends at Papa Murphy's Pizza. How historic is Aaron Judge hitting 60 home runs? Jake?
Yes. Very historic. It's a big deal.
Anyway, what's more of a feat? Barry Bonds hitting 72 or Aaron Judge hitting 60? We'll talk about that. We've got to talk more about Jordan Clarkson, but what would this show be if we did not tell you that it was presented by the Advocates? Utah injury attorneys, the best in the business, UtahAdvocates.com. Get online, chat with them. You don't have to come out of pocket to get the representation you deserve when you've been injured in an accident. Just go to UtahAdvocates.com for a free consultation. So there is this situation with George Kliavkoff and the Pac-12, and I think this is fascinating. George Kliavkoff has had a lot of things to say about the Big Ten and the Big 12 and all of the transformation that's going on in college football. And Jake, we're going to play some audio of George Kliavkoff on George Kliavkoff joining John Canzano's podcast. Easy for me to say, but I'm curious your thoughts on this. I mean, are you a George Kliavkoff fan?
Yeah, I mean, my struggle right now with what George Kliavkoff is doing is I really feel like he is trying to spin and sort of trying to fabricate like the health of the conference. I mean, I understand you're the commissioner of the Pac-12 and that is part of your job, but I do feel like on some level there's just been like since media day and really since he's taken over, there's been this mission and this initiative to just continually say that the conference is in a great spot and we're not losing teams and everything that any logical person would think is probably not great for the conference is great in George Kliavkoff's mind. Like that to me is sort of what I have I'm not going to say I have an issue with it. It
Right.
just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like I think we're going to play some sound here where he's talking about a couple of things, and to me they're not really, it's just he's spending his time in the wrong areas. To me, I'd be spending my time, talking about how we're building the conference and what our strategies are to make sure that the 10 teams left after USC and UCLA go to the Big Ten, to make sure that those schools are happy and that those schools are thriving and they're paid on the distribution deal. And like, those are the things that I would be focusing on. But I feel like too often right now, George is focused on, trying to shoot down UCLA as an example in the Big Ten situation, or talking about how none of his schools are going to leave for the Big 12 and he has the utmost confidence. Like I just think he's focused on the wrong talking points.
All right, well, let's hear from Pac-12 Commissioner George Kliavkoff. He was on John Wilner and John Canzano's podcast this week talking about a lot of different things. I want to start with this UCLA thing because this is what really bothers me the most. I think this is an unnecessary shot at UCLA simply to try and stave off the collapse of the Pac-12.
Back to the envelope calculations on the negative impact on UCLA expenses, travel expenses, and just expenses for coaches' salaries and other things, just to get to the average Big Ten athletic budget. And we think that the incremental money they're going to receive from the Big Ten media rights deal will be more than 100% offset by additional expenses. So you end up taking that money that you earn and it goes to airline and charter companies and coaches and administrators. It doesn't go to supporting the student athletes.
Well, and listen, that's George Kliavkoff on John Wilner and John Canzano's podcast this week. I don't know. The back of the envelope comment's ridiculous, first of all. You don't have the hard numbers. Second of all, you're not accounting for the fact that other Pac-12 teams are going to join the Big Ten. You're not accounting for the fact that this is why Oregon and Washington are so critical, this is why, to the Big Ten success, because UCLA and USC need travel partners. And I think when you look at all of these things, this feels like a desperate ploy from Pac-12 Commissioner George Kliavkoff to survive, because George is very well aware that UCLA is dealing with the California, educational system, essentially, the UC system, who by some accounts has no ability to stop UCLA from going to the Big Ten. By other accounts has full ability to stop UCLA from going to the Big Ten. This is George Kliavkoff, the commissioner of the Pac-12, being desperate. He's trying to undermine UCLA's ability to move. He is trying to save the conference. But again, I guess the bigger question is, does UCLA staying in the Pac-12 save the conference? I don't know the answer to that. It feels like the Los Angeles TV market is significant, but what are you really going to have in UCLA if you torpedo their move to the Big Ten? I don't know the answer to that either, because I have to believe that UCLA is not going to be a happy participant in what at that point is going to be a rudderless Pac-11 conference. Mm-hmm. Because the other elephant in the room here is, if you save UCLA, let's say save UCLA, and they stay, are other teams going to want to join the Pac-12? And I certainly don't believe that that's the answer. But that takes me to the next comment from Pac-12 Commissioner George Kliavkoff, who told Canzano and Wilner that no teams are going to the Big 12 and that he does not see any teams going to the Big Ten.
I think if schools would have left for the Big Ten, they would have left for the Big Ten already. And also what I will tell you is I'm very focused on things that are in my control. Things that are not within my control, I find no value in spending time on.
Pac-12 Commissioner George Kliavkoff.
I just disagree. I mean, I just flat out blatantly disagree that with the statement that if a school was going to go to the Big Ten, that they would have gone to the Big Ten already. I just flat out disagree. And the reason I disagree is because things happen in time, right? Like George loves to say, and I would encourage you guys to go and find the whole interview. It's like 45 minutes. There's a lot of good stuff in there, a lot of educational pieces on the whole situation. But George had made a comment in there that because of the Big Ten's TV deal and the fact that they got these two teams and the Big Ten kind of went through and did what it was going to do, that he sort of inferred that means that teams like Oregon and Washington and, the rest of the bunch of them now wouldn't go to the Big Ten. And that's why I just flat out disagree. He claims in the interview that his job is to, like all the Pac-12 schools right now, or the Pac-10 schools, I guess, would accept a grant of rights opportunity if it was, quote, the right opportunity. Well, here's the problem with that. Finding the right opportunity in the Pac-10, as it would be, is going to be increasingly difficult because all the TV providers spent all their bread on the Big Ten. That's what he doesn't want to admit. So that's why I'm a little surprised about how he's going about it, because it's sort of like he's living in, I mean, I don't want to make the guy sound crazy, right? Because obviously he's not crazy. He's a super smart guy, great at what he does. But to me, it's like you're living in a different universe sometimes with some of these comments. I'm like, dude, like, where do you think that these TV partners are? Do you think they just have like endless money to give your conference 50 a school and give the Big Ten 50 a school?
And I also think that's why this belief that, oh yeah, we can go to Amazon and they can be our tier 1 provider is ridiculous. Let's get to brass tacks here. He straight up said he guarantees no Pac-12 schools are going to the Big 12. And you heard what he said about the Big 10 and that no teams are going to the Big 10. I just don't know how you can sit there and say that with a straight face. It is very clear that many, if not most of your your programs in the Pac-12 are looking at exit opportunities.
This is a code 10 abort.
So how can you sit there and say, and granted, John Wilner and John Canzano are Pac-12 homers. It is in their best interest if the Pac-12 stays together. I totally understand that, which is why they did not question him or do follow-ups. I totally get it. But when you look at the current marketplace, there's no way that you can guarantee no teams are leaving for the Big Ten or the Pac or for the Big 12. There's just no way. The Big 12 is in a far better position than the Pac-12 is. There's almost no argument to that. That you look at grant of rights, what school in their right mind in the Pac-12 is signing a $30 million grant of rights? And are you telling me that Amazon's going to cough up $500 million just to be the tier 1 provider for the Pac-12? And here's the other problem. You're not good enough to draw subscription-based viewership right now.
Yes.
Without USC and UCLA, are you really telling me that Oregon State fans, Washington State fans in mass, Utah fans in mass are going to subscribe to Amazon Prime just to see their games? Because they're not doing that with DirecTV.
No.
Right? They're not doing that with Dish Network. We've already seen that Pac-12 football fans didn't en masse leave DirecTV to go to Dish Network or any other provider for the Pac-12 network. We've already seen that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And the part that is so trippy to me is that how are you, George Kliavkoff, guaranteeing that no schools are leaving for the Big Ten or the Big 12 when you know that Oregon wants out and is actively working to leave the conference? And this statement, and I'll play it again because I think it is remarkable. This statement about, this statement about the health and the grant of rights, and it's remarkable to me that he sits here and talks about things in his control.
I think if schools would have left for the Big Ten, they would have left for the Big Ten already. And also what I will tell you is I'm very focused on things that are in my control. Things that are not within my control, I find no value in spending time on.
What is in your control about a school leaving the conference? Because again, I just ask you, if UCLA stays in the conference, are they going to make more money than they're spending? Because they're already losing money by most accounts.
Yeah.
UCLA is already losing money. You look at the attendance issues at the Rose Bowl, and it is not hard to figure out they're not doing very much business in Pasadena, right? So now are you telling me that by having Ohio State come in, Penn State come into the Rose Bowl, are you telling me that Michigan coming to the Rose Bowl doesn't bring more fans to the Rose Bowl?
Yeah.
It must, it will, it absolutely will. Even if they are visiting fans, no fans are worse than visiting fans. And right now, UCLA has no fans in the Rose Bowl. Are you really telling me that UCLA, even flying in the Pac-12 current footprint, is going to make more money than they would in the Big Ten? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. So you're talking about things you can control. What is it about UCLA that you think you can control? You can be a snake in the grass and you can try to undermine them leaving, but saving UCLA, it doesn't fix your problem, George. And that's why this looks so petty. That's why this looks so stupid. He also told Wilner and Canzano on their podcast, well, I haven't done any media because we're heads down working hard. No, you haven't done any media because you're terrible at doing media. When you talk, you say really dumb things, George. That's the problem here. And when you go to homers like Wilner and Canzano, with all due respect, because I actually think they're pretty good at what they do.
Yeah.
You know you're in a safe space. So you can get away with this crap where you say back of the envelope. I don't want back of the envelope. I want actual forensic accounting. If you're going to tell me that getting $100 to $150 million is going to lose UCLA money, I need real foundational evidence of that. Not you sharpening a pencil and flipping over your credit card statement and doing some quick math.
And the best you could do reason-wise is they're going to lose money because there's more money going to airline companies. That's the best you could do.
It's crazy.
I would expect, and again, I'm not trying to disrespect the guy, but I just guess I would expect George Kliavkoff, the commissioner of a P5 conference, to have a better like path of logic than, UCLA is going to lose money going to the Big Ten because they got to pay more to the airline companies because they're flying a little more. Like, your logic basically is just saying that, hey, because they have to travel more, that they're going to lose money. As opposed to what, George? As opposed to all the money they're not making now in your conference?
Yeah.
Like, that's why I agree with you when you say, hey, he's not doing a lot of media, because when he does do media, it doesn't work out great for him. And that to me is as plain as you could say it, because I think it's true. Like, if you're going to come out and talk about your situation and the college football expansion as far as conferences are concerned, and how your conference is negatively impacted by the dog-eat-dog world that is college football. Well, when you do that and you come out and you talk about it, you have to make sure that the things that you say are on point, or else this happens.
Yeah, it is shocking to me.
And by the way, then I look at schools like Utah, and I'm like, hey, by the way, your commissioner just said that he guarantees nobody's going to the Big 12. So what's it going to be? Are you just going to be here and make like $30 million a year? And really, we should stop saying Utah's going to make $30 to $40 million a year on this new grant to rights situation, which is what most people think the number is going to be in the Pac-10.
And I agree with M. Alvarez, who says, I think George was asleep when he was doing this interview because he's straight up dreaming with this statement.
That's what I mean.
I totally agree, 100%. Kurt Myers, good morning to you. Neville93, what's up? Kurt says, Pac-12 commissioner tells UCLA they will make more money to stay in the Pac-12. Yes, that's crazy.
But how can you say that? And how would any school, UCLA or otherwise, again, my mind goes to Utah because we're sitting here in Salt Lake City, how can Utah believe that the commissioner in this conference is going to provide them more revenue on the next grant of rights deal when they've never done that before? And I know, hey, new commissioner, he inherited some old contracts and old situations that, frankly, were absolutely embarrassing. I can get down with that. I totally understand that. We're seeing that with the Jazz right now with their distribution situation, as we talked about. But what I can't understand is how your commissioner is going to come out and say, I guarantee, you have my word, basically, that no one's going to leave the conference for the Big 10 or the Big 12. And then I get to sit here and look at Utah, and I get to say, okay, Utah is on a really good path right now. Their program is clearly rising in national relevance. And I wonder, what would you be if you were in the Big 10 or the Big 12? It's a legit question.
This is just such a bad look. I think this is akin to attacking the Big 12 at Pac-12 Media Day. And
it builds off of it. You did what you did, and now you're doing this.
It's all of the stupid things that have always gone on in the Pac-12. And it is this manipulation of the media that's become so pervasive across sports. Like this is no different than the Jazz waiting weeks to do a press conference, and their one-on-one interview is not with Tony Jones, it's with their broadcaster who is going to shine the team. Like, I mean,
Bonnie, please.
There's no difference here.
Yeah.
This is, if I'm George Kliavkoff, if I want to get my message out, which that's clearly what this is, Canzano and Wilner are two very safe guys for the Pac-12. So look, I think that this is just a misstep. That you cannot continue to wage war when you have no weapons.
Well, in my concern,
I don't understand it.
My concern is, you're totally right, it is a misstep, but I don't think George views it as a misstep very clearly. Like, I don't think that George, in his heart of hearts, feels like, yeah, man, wow, I said that I guarantee that no teams are going to leave our conference for another conference. And that's going to be a really embarrassing thing when they do leave our conference.
Yep. Mark Hales says, with all due respect.
Yeah, dude.
Kenai Johnson
come on.
says, schools should leave just because of the statement, with all due respect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Tanner Plummer says, yes, the Pac-12 has looked better so far this year, but it still doesn't change the fact that the conference is on the brink of extinction. Yeah, on-field has nothing to do with whether they survive or not.
That's the sad part about it.
Nothing.
Like, Washington actually looked good. Utah has looked good. Obviously, SC, as we've talked about, has one of the best, if not the best offense in the country. Like, you actually have good football this year. UCLA obviously is not better, but it's just so funny how this all works. The team that's not good and struggles with attendance and shares a stadium with SC, frankly, is just not good, and they're not making money, and yet you have your commissioner coming out, and of all the things that he could say about UCLA is saying they're going to lose more money in the Big Ten, which to me is just completely wrong.
It's crazy. Football 50 in 60 seconds. Who's the best quarterback in the NFL right now? I think that's a big question. The way that I would wrap this conversation up is every day just seems to be a bad day for the Pac-12. No matter what happens, there is always it just feels like there's a dark cloud over this conference, and your commissioner guaranteeing that no teams are leaving for the Big 12 or the Big 10. The balls on this guy are amazing.
Incredible.
That, or he just knows something that none of us know.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he's got pictures of Phil Knight that we're unaware of, but I just think it's a remarkable statement to make if you are George Kliavkoff. Football 50, 10 of the hour. Every hour we talk about the biggest stories in football. Coming up in 10 minutes, we are going to talk about Dallin Holker quitting the BYU football team and announcing his intention to join the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a mistake. And I'll tell you why coming up in 10 minutes. We'll talk BYU football. Don't forget, Harris LaChance joins us coming up at 8:30 this morning as well. All right, let's talk about quarterbacks in the NFL to kick off Football 50, presented by Papa Murphy's Pizza. Papa Murphy's Pizza. Order through their app. It is a great app. It's easy to use. You can schedule your pickup. Order at 10, pick up at 5. We do it every Friday, and it
Bada
works
boom,
perfectly.
bada bing.
Easy peasy, baby.
Yeah.
All right, here's a question for you on Football at 50. Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins,
Right.
currently leads the NFL in passing.
Uh-huh.
No, I said Tua Tagovailoa of the Miami Dolphins currently leads the NFL in passing.
Are you and George hanging out more, or what's going on here?
You know, I'm on the drink, apparently. But yes, that is actually true that Tua Tagovailoa leads the NFL in passing.
Yeah.
Who's the best quarterback in the NFL right now?
Well, I mean, I think you still got to go with Tom Brady. And I think the reason you got to go with Tom Brady is because the guy can take veteran day off after veteran day off, and he still comes out and is super effective and is able to have a dogfight with the Saints and pull away in the fourth quarter. And that's why I say I think you just have to go with Tom Brady. I think close second still is Aaron Rodgers. The fact is he hasn't won much, and that's my biggest problem with Aaron Rodgers. You're not a true outright winner, and that's my biggest thing with him is you haven't won, and Tom has, and that's why I give the edge to Tom Brady.
I wouldn't disagree with that. I think who are even the contenders? Obviously,
I think you got to talk about Josh Allen being one of the best quarterbacks.
That would be my guy. I think the best quarterback going in the NFL right now. I think you got to give it to Josh Allen, just the way that he's playing, the domination that's been the Buffalo Bills, and he is just the absolute heartbeat of that team.
Yeah, they're locked in, and I think that when you can beat teams like the Chiefs regularly, that says all you need to say. And I think that Chiefs-Bills matchup was a preview of the AFC Championship game, and I think that, I'm waiting for Josh Allen to get to the Super Bowl. That's honestly what I'm waiting for. I wish that Joe Burrow had a better start this year, but he hasn't. And so that's why I say I think Josh Allen right here today is probably playing the best football in the league.
And the crazy thing is, if you look at the numbers on the guys leading the NFL, Tua's number 1, Carson Wentz is number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Carson Wentz is completing 65.5% of his passes, 7 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions, which is a pretty good performance.
Yeah.
By the way, so I would go there. Now, if you're a Jets fan, if you're a BYU fan, if you're a Zach Wilson fan, you hate to see it. Joe Flacco is currently 3rd in the NFL in passing.
Uh-oh.
None of those 3 are even close to the best quarterback in the NFL. I think when you look at the numbers and you look at the real contenders for this, it comes down to Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And I think it's Josh Allen. I think a close second. You got to put Patrick Mahomes there.
Well, I think there's this group of guys, right? Like,
Yeah.
you have there's this group of guys that are the best QBs in the league. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. I think you got to put Matt Stafford in there because of what they did last year. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is in that mix. And then I think, Tom Brady. And then after those guys, you have everybody else. And I think, everybody else is headlined by guys like Lamar Jackson. I think Russell Wilson could put himself in that conversation if he has a big year. But I think he's got some proving to do in Denver.
So Alex Chacon, or no, is it Justin Salas says, is the game plan to run this music for the whole time during football at 50?
Yes.
Yeah, why? Do you hate the music playing in the background?
What's the problem? What's the problem?
Gives it a little life. We're trying to spice the place up, I don't know. I like the music. I love NFL films.
Let us know. Do you not like the music?
Yeah. Alex Chacon says, bro, Mahomes and Allen are better than Brady and Rodgers. I don't know. I think Aaron Rodgers is actually playing some of the best football of his career right now.
Yeah.
He's got as few weapons as I can ever remember the Packers having offensively.
Well, he's just going to take more ayahuasca,
Well, and I think he's doing the job. I think he's absolutely doing the job right now in Green Bay. I would give him a lot of credit. Scandura, what's up? He says, Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert. Good-looking dude. And Lamar Jackson.
Lamar's the one I got the problem with in your list, bro. I think that Lamar's a hell of a quarterback, hell of an athlete, but I think that the rest of those guys are just a cut above. One cut above.
And I think Lamar's vastly improved. I do. I think his touch on the football, he took it personally, this contract situation.
As he should.
And maybe that's what Lamar needed. Maybe Lamar Jackson needed to feel like he was not wanted, not valued. Maybe you're just not good enough. Because he went to the lab very clearly, and he came out a better quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I still think he's a couple of those. But Scandura, you know what? I don't have any issue. I think Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes that's the list. Alex Chacon on Tua Tagovailoa says, I would too if I had Hill and Waddle. Jalen Waddle can play football a lot of bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's really interesting. I think they're two of the top three receivers in the NFL right now. I don't know. Can the Miami Dolphins keep playing at this level?
I think the problem is that so I believe that Tua has worked his ass off to get better. I really do believe that he's giving his absolute all to improve as an NFL quarterback. But what I need to see is Tua's ability to step up to the line, read the defense against an elite defense. Like I'm talking about the top 5 defenses in the league. Let's see if he can read a defense, change the play, and then execute on that play. If Tua can do that, then yes, the Miami Dolphins are for real. But I have some hesitations around that.
Now, Giggity shows up, and he says, good morning, fellas. Roll the NFL music all
See,
show long.
that's what I mean. The NFL music, and we're working on spicing the show up in a couple of areas. I feel like the NFL music really helps us.
Spicing the show up in a couple of areas.
We need to, spice it up a little bit. I'm working on it.
Is that what we're calling it?
Yeah.
We're spicing it up in a couple of areas. Giggity, always good to see you, my friend. Justin Salas says, I'm going Mahomes over Allen just because I think he can do more with his feet.
And he's done more in the league.
Well, there you go. I was just going to say he's won. He's won, and he's played. I think this ability to throw sidearm, no-look passes, and I actually agree, Salas. I think the fact that he can do all of that on the run is significant. The other thing that worries me a little bit about Josh Allen is the hero ball mentality, the Superman run through brick walls. Eventually the brick wall wins.
He's a big dude, bro.
Well, he is a big dude, but eventually the brick wall wins.
It does make you wonder, because Ben Roethlisberger was very much like that early in his career, and it does make you wonder if that will cost him later in his career with mobility, because Ben, as we know, before he retired, was absolutely a statue back there.
Well, but you're never as hard as you think you are, and when you run it, oh, man. Did I really just say that?
Hold on.
Damn. Now you got to stop the music. Did I really just say that?
Woo!
Good Lord. Good. I need more sleep. Dang it. Wow.
Oh, that was an all-timer, bro.
My point is, you're never as tough as you think you are. There is always some dude.
What I just said.
There's always some dude that's tougher than you. And if you're Josh Allen, you're going to run into it eventually. Justin said that's what she said. Exactly right. Yeah, it's internal, all right. He said also, not a fan of the music for the whole time, but it's your show. You do what you want. I think it just gives you more energy. It gives you more pace.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we talk a lot, and I mean, I love the sound of my own voice, and I am one sexy human being. But you need a little change up occasionally. Football 50-10 of the hour, every hour, brought to you by our good friends at Papa Murphy's Pizza.
No one goes all in on made-from-scratch freshness like Papa Murphy's. We go all in on quality. All in on craft. And on the Triple Pep Pizza, we go all in on pepperoni. Because when you go all in, people notice. Go all in with a limited-time Triple Pep Pizza, topped with 3 types of pepperoni for just $11.99. Papa Murphy's. Change the way you pizza.
Papa Murphy's Pizza presents Football at 50, 10 of the hour, every hour on the Monty Show. Make sure you use the promo code Monty25, M-O-N-T-Y, Monty25, to get 25% off your order of $25 or more at Papa Murphy's Pizza. All right, coming up in about 90 minutes, Harris LaChance will join us to talk BYU football. We'll talk to Harris about their situation with Oregon. How do they bounce back against Wyoming this week? And you look at some of the storylines that are coming out around BYU as they host Wyoming Saturday night. This Dallin Holker situation, and if you didn't hear about it, BYU tight end Dallin Holker quit the football team. And his dad told Jay Drew at the Des News that his intention is to enter the transfer portal and find a school where they actually utilize the tight ends. I have a lot of trouble with this. And I'm curious what you guys think about this because, I mean, guys enter the transfer portal all the time. I think it's rare that guys quit their football teams. And then,
apparently not in the state of Utah.
Well, and then blame the offense for their struggles. Let's be real about Dallin Holker. Dallin Holker's on the field right now. Dallin Holker's a guy that gets involved in the offense. He is targeted. He was heavily targeted this weekend at Oregon. And his argument that they don't use the tight ends enough is rubbish. In my opinion, this is a real challenge of Dallin Holker's character. This is a guy who's behind Isaac Rex. This is a guy that, by all accounts, is as talented as any tight end probably that BYU's ever had, Dallin Holker. But you got to stand and deliver. And maybe I'm being too harsh about this, and I would love to get your feedback on this. But my opinion is that Dallin Holker just doesn't want to fight to be the number one guy. He wants to go somewhere where he's going to have the door open for him for more opportunities. And I say if you're not willing to compete, Charlie Brewer, and you want to quit the team and you want to go to another university where you can maybe start, well, then you should maybe not be playing football. Because football is not a test of your character. That's not what football is. Football truly builds your character and reveals who you are as a competitor. And when you quit your team and you walk away in the middle of the season after one of the most difficult losses at BYU in recent memory at Oregon, it says very, very loudly that you're lacking in character. That's my opinion. Hey, listen, I know he's a football player. He's a young man. I get it. This, to me, Jake, speaks poorly of his character.
Yeah, well, here's what's not an opinion. You look at the stats, and again, I think that the stats perfectly paint a picture of him getting more opportunities. So what I mean is, in 2021, he played in 13 games. He had 14 receptions, 200 yards, and averaged about 14 yards per reception he caught. In 2022, so far, he's played 3 games. Obviously, all 3 games. He's got 9 receptions, well over half of all of last year's total receptions, right? And he's already at 86 yards. Last year he had 200 yards of receiving. So while last year, yes, 13 games, 14 receptions, 200 yards, those obviously are not huge numbers or big numbers or anything. My point here is that in 2022, you've played every game. You've got more than half of the opportunity you got all of last year. And you're just short of half of all the yards you had last year through 3 games. Like right now, he's pacing for 800-ish yards or so if he were to stay on this pace, right? Like through the whole season, if you played every game and just did what you're doing each game. And by the way, your average yards per reception are down a little bit. So I don't know if that's scheming. I don't know what that is. But what I'm telling you is it's not like they're just sitting you over there and you're never seeing the field. And that's what I have a problem with. And I think that, to me, when we decided we were going to talk about this and this news came out, my mission here isn't to tear the guy down, but I do tend to agree here. Like, you are getting more opportunity, and it's not anyone else's fault that you're not starting at your given position.
And Isaac Rex has missed a significant amount of time to injury. Your opportunity is there. Don't tell me that BYU doesn't throw to the tight ends. Who caught a touchdown Saturday? Isaac Rex caught a touchdown Saturday. Like, the tight end.
They use them.
Yeah, the tight end is used in the BYU offense.
Yes.
You were targeted, I think it's 6 times against Oregon. Like, you had the opportunities. You've got to execute.
Oregon stats were 5 receptions for 38 yards, and his long was 13.
You caught 5 balls on Saturday, and then you quit the football team?
Yeah.
Like, there is, and this is why I think it is a pertinent question. Is this Dallin Holker's issue, or is this a BYU football issue? Because it makes no sense. There is zero logic in saying, okay, I'm quitting the football team. I'm going to enter the transfer portal in November because I want to go somewhere where they actually utilize the tight ends. So what, the 5 catches on 6 targets isn't utilizing you as a weapon? That's what I struggle with. I can't believe, and I do not buy all of the people saying that there is a chemistry issue or there is a locker room issue at BYU. I don't buy that for a second because, this kid, I don't know what more you want. Where are you going to go? Are you going to go to Utah and be the next Brant Keithy? You're not that guy, Dallin. You haven't shown the aptitude or the ability to be that guy.
And you're a junior. You're not a freshman, dude. You don't have time to sit behind established dudes.
I think the timing is understandable. He wants this to be a redshirt season. Okay, cool. You're going to go somewhere and you're going to play 2 years. Totally understand that. But age is not on your side. Don't forget that Dallin Holker served a 2-year mission. Let's not forget that guys who transfer rarely go to the promised land.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're in a good spot. What is it about your situation that BYU could change or do better? They threw you the ball 6 times Saturday.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a usage problem. I don't know. I think this is and I don't know, his father, Bob, is the one speaking for him, which also is a huge red flag. Hey, Dallin, if you're going to quit the football team and announce your intention to enter the transfer portal, you probably ought to be the one talking to Jay Drew.
And I actually do have a problem with the timing. I got to be honest with you. Like, if you think about, like, what goes into being a great teammate, what goes into supporting your guys in the locker room, like, if you were going to quit the team and transfer, you knew that heading into the season. Don't tell me you didn't know that. Like, you can't tell me you hadn't had conversations in the offseason. So then you play these 3 games, obviously wins against South Florida and Baylor, and then the team gets shellacked against Oregon. You got dominated against Oregon, and now all of a sudden it's like, well, I got to transfer. That's what I struggle with. I do have a problem a little bit with the timing. And again, I'm not saying that Dallin is a bad guy. I'm not saying that somehow this is a bad human being or he's a horrible person. I'm not saying that. I'm sure he's a great guy. I'm sure that he did great work on his mission. Like, I'm not trying to sit here and say he's a bad guy. But I just struggle with this concept of, hey, we just got our ass handed to us by Oregon in all 3 phases, and I had 5 receptions, and I don't like how I'm being used in the offense, so I'm going to transfer. The timing to me is suspect. I understand the redshirt thing. I understand there are rules in college football. If you're going to transfer, you got to do it at a certain point. But to me, you can't tell me you didn't have this conversation in the offseason with your family and with your dad. You can't tell me that this wasn't like, all right, if they don't utilize me more, if I'm not getting, I don't even know what the number is, right? Like, I'm sure there was a number, but if I'm not getting a certain amount of targets, let's say, in any given game, like if I'm not averaging 10 targets a game as an example, then we're going to transfer. You really telling me that's how you went into your season? That may be why you're not starting. Because to me, as a tight end, People think tight ends, after they watch Brant Kuithe and Dalton Kincaid do what they do, they think tight ends are all about catching the football up the seam. That's what they think tight ends do, and that's just not the whole part of the job.
But let's be honest about Utah's offense. Utah's offense is not prolifically throwing to the wide receiver. You don't have Puka Nacua and Gunnar Romney and Chase Roberts.
Which is another problem. Holy crap. Puka's not even playing. What do you mean you're not getting opportunity?
And by the way, you're on the field for an enormous amount of reps. Like and look at it in the Wyoming game. And now obviously it won't be Dallin Holker, but how many times do we see Isaac Rex and Dallin Holker on the field together? It's not uncommon.
Yeah.
I don't know the percentage, but just thinking through my head in the Oregon game, they were on the field together multiple times. You're trying to figure out how to run the ball. They're going to go, they're going to go multiple tight end packages often.
Yeah.
I mean, it to me, this is just, I'm not trying to be a jerk about it. I don't like, and we've talked about this at length on this show, I don't like going after college football players. I think it is the absolute wrong thing to do. But the one thing that really bothers me is when kids quit on football teams. And if you want to do that after the season and you want to transfer, and okay, I totally understand that. I even, as a tight end, the red shirt thing, to me, I understand it. I don't like it.
Yeah.
And listen, again, you're walking out the door on your team.
Mm-hmm.
How do you ever go back to any of those guys and look them in the eye and say, hey, man, it was great being your teammate?
Yeah. By the way,
how do you do that?
I'm going to leave after we got our ass handed to us by Oregon, and I'm going to, that's when I'm going to choose to leave the program. So that's why I say, like, I have no problem criticizing Dallin for this decision, but I hope people understand I'm not criticizing dude's character as a human being. What I'm criticizing is dude's character as a teammate and as a football player. Because I think as a football player, there's two sides to life as a football player. You've got your off the field, who you are just in casual settings. I think the guy is, I'm sure he's a great human being. I don't even doubt that. But as a football player, and this is what I said about Charlie Brewer when all that went down.
Yeah.
As a football player, I have some integrity issues with your decision-making based on this timing. If you were going to transfer and you had that conversation, you should have transferred either before the season or you should have transferred after week 1 when the team had won and you knew you weren't going to get any more reps than you had been getting. That's the right way to go about it.
And, listen, it's time for Carter Wheat to step up now. I mean, obviously, that's what this does. This creates opportunity, and I think this also speaks to the depth in offensive weapons at BYU, because I think one of the interesting questions here is when all the tables are level, right? When everybody's on an equal, healthy playing field, he's not going to get the reps that Isaac Rex gets. Clearly, Rexy's the number 1 tight end in that offense, right? But where is Dallin Holker? Is he top 5 offensive weapons? Probably not. I mean, if Puka's out there, if Gunner's out there, which he hasn't been all season, but right there, you're 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably 4th behind Chase Roberts. You're probably 5th behind, at least all of the runners, which makes you 6th, because they're going to run the ball as much as they possibly can. And then, by the way, you're probably behind your quarterback, who's a prolific offensive weapon. I think Jaron Hall, whether he's running or throwing, is a much better option than any tight end in the country. I mean, I understand that you're 7, 8, 9 on the offensive depth chart, really, when it comes to options. But what about working hard? What about growing your skill set? What about getting into your own accountability space? That's what bothers me about Bob Holker, his father, being the one talking to Jay Drew.
Yeah.
That's what bothers me about this whole situation. By all accounts, and I've asked people at BYU about Dallin as a guy, he's a good dude. He's not a bad guy. But there's something here. When you quit on your team after that game, it's not like he walked away from spring practice. It's not like he got beat out in spring and said, you know what? Hey, I'm going to transfer. Mm-hmm. That happens all the time. I totally understand it. It's not like he said, you know what? This is a really big year for me. I got beat out in fall camp. I'm going to redshirt this year. And no, you played 3 games. You went to Oregon and got your ass handed to you, where you got 6 targets, you caught 5 balls, and then you quit.
Yeah.
That stinks out
And
loud to me.
I think as an athlete, just generally speaking, I mean, we see, like we're going to talk about Aaron Judge a little later in the show and him hitting 60. Like, there's this whole conversation with Aaron Judge about betting on himself and turning down huge contracts, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of contracts from the Yankees. So I can respect when athletes do the bet on yourself thing. Lamar Jackson, right? Like, I can respect it. I totally get it. But I think that as a college athlete, there's more to it than just like, hey, I feel like I should be paid more. There's more to it.
Absolutely.
There's a brotherhood in that locker room.
Yes.
And you're not, I got news for you, like, whether you're a BYU fan or you're a Utah fan or you're a Poughkeepsie State fan, right? Like, BYU has a unique proposition and value to football players. When you're in that program, it's different than when you're in Utah's program or any other program. So to me, when you leave, like he's leaving, it doesn't send a good message with your teammates. B, the next program you go to, and again, this is what we said about Charlie Brewer, when you leave your team like that, the next program you go to, you think they're not cognizant of that? Hey, well, if this guy doesn't get a certain amount of reps, he going to leave our program? You think people don't ask those questions?
But look, I think the guy that comes to mind here, oddly enough, is Jake Brandon at Coug Connect, because we've talked about a lot of different players, right? And you look at the NIL situation and you look at the prolific ability and you look at guys like Coug Connect, right? CougConnect.com. If you don't know them, you should go there. They are absolutely the leading NIL, I don't know, collective, if you will, supporting BYU players. You should go and subscribe to them. I mean, they really put out good content. But they have a good group of guys.
Yeah.
This BYU football team, and if you go to CougConnect.com, I think it's clear as a bell. You go there, you watch their content, you see the way these guys relate to each other, you see the rap songs that the guys put out, the interviews.
Yeah.
Coug Connect does this great string of interviews every week, and you get exclusive content, and you just see the character of the guys. And you see the way they like each other. You look at Harris LaChance, by the way, connected to us through Coug Connect. You look at the way that those guys do their business. They like each other. It's a good chemistry room. The locker room is well put together. And I think the thing that really stands out to me is when you quit on that group of guys, that's a you problem. Because the chemistry that is very apparent on this football team is not the issue, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Dallin Holker doesn't want to compete for his job. At least that's what it looks like to me. I again have never heard that he's a bad person
but
or
here's the problem.
A bad character
when you
guy.
Handle it this way, that's the message you send. And I know it sucks to say this, but the message you send is all that matters, right? Whether you left because there was a major life issue or there was a very real reason why you needed to transfer, or whether there wasn't, the perception is that there wasn't and that you didn't want to fight for the starting job. And that to me that's kind of my main point here is like, I'm sure Dallin Holker's a great guy, right? We're not having a conversation about whether he is a great guy. I'm having a conversation about whether as an athlete and as a football player in a Division I, P5 caliber program that's going to the Big 12 next year, if his competitiveness is top notch, because it doesn't seem that way. And I don't know, maybe like we don't know exactly what happened. Like that's just the truth of the matter. I don't know if, again, pure speculation. Maybe Kalani went to Dallin and said, hey, you're not going to get many opportunities. We're going a little bit different of a direction, and maybe you need to look at some options. Who the hell knows? I don't know. But what I'm telling you is that having your dad speak for you, and sort of let the world know what's going on is probably not the best look. I would have rather seen Dallin release a statement or him jump on a video and release that video. That's how I think you have to handle it. Yeah,
and I'm actually texting with somebody about this situation now, and it's just, if you believe what people are saying, it's simply that he believes that he should be more utilized in the offense. And hey, maybe that's the case. But what is that?
And this is my other piece of feedback. When guys say, hey, I should be more utilized in the offense, is that just more reps on the field? Is that utilized in a different way? What does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know what that means. And you know what? I would very much like to ask Dallin Holker that. And you know what? I will reach out to him, and let's see if we can get him on the show. Let's see if we can ask him that, because it is shocking that Dallin Holker, and if you're just tuning into the show this morning, Dallin Holker has quit the football team, and he intends to enter the transfer portal in November. And his dad, Bob Holker, told Jay Drew at the Des News that he wants to go to a program that utilizes a tight end more. And I just simply say, you got six targets on Saturday. What do you mean you need to be utilized more?
Yeah.
All right, let's get your thoughts on this. Where do we start with this? NY Jazz fan. Dude has to work harder. Make them have no choice but to use you. Totally agree with that.
Totally agree. That's
Kurt
sports.
Myers says tight ends need to block, run good routes, and catch the football. They do.
And that's what I mean. Like,
They do.
I almost feel like because again, this is all about PR and the message you send. When you say you want to be utilized more in the offense, what are you specifically talking about? Because I see his numbers going up, as I was just sharing. I see that, hey, yeah, you aren't the starter, but as a backup and as a rotational player, your numbers are going up. So what exactly does that look like?
Yeah. Norge Coog says you hit the nail on the head 100%. He had 6 targets against Oregon. Yeah.
And 5 catches.
Yeah. NY Jazz fan says he was targeted 6-7 times, caught all but 1 ball, and only had 39 yards. Get in the weight room, put in the work. He's too slow and too soft to create more yards.
And that's the thing with Mason is that dude is 250, right? Like Dallin's
Mason
240.
Wake, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the funny thing is, this is a big discussion in BYU football circles. Is Mason Wake a tight end or a fullback?
Mm-hmm. And then you look at Isaac Rex, and you're in the same position. I think 250 is a nice weight for fullback, tight end guy. Like, that's the number. And I think that I look at, and again, this is right off BYUCougars.com on their roster section, what they officially list guys' weight at. And you look at the tight end room specifically, you brought up Carter Wheat. Dude's only 236. With all due respect, 6'4", 236, you need to put on some weight if you're going to effectively play tight end, or you have to be the Brant Keithy type that has elite speed for the position, and that's how you make your living.
Well, and I think the question that I would ask Dallin Holker is, what is it about being a tight end at BYU that's not a fit for you?
Yeah.
Because there is something here. And what do they list his weight at? Dallin Holker?
240, 6'5", 240.
I mean, you're 6'5", 240. You have all the physical tools to do the job. You're big enough. I mean, sure, you could probably put on more muscle, but at 6'5", 240, you're an imposing figure. You should be able to compete with the Oregons of the world. You should be able to compete against any defensive end.
Well, and again, he did. That's the thing. That's why I think we're all like, hey, like in the comments, I think we're getting a pretty consistent message here in the comments, and we'll read some more here, but like we're getting the consistent message of, hey, he had 6 targets, he had 5 catches, like they're utilizing him. What do you mean you're not utilized?
Yeah.
That's the problem.
That's what Tanner said. Not to be rude, but based on the stats you guys are rolling out, Holker, like George, has lost touch with reality. Seriously, you have. M. Morris says Rex being back may have influenced that. Certainly. Oh, Rance, that's exactly right. College football free agency, new world.
Facts.
And I think that's part of this. The transfer portal in college football is pulling the ripcord.
Facts.
It is truly pulling the ripcord, and it's one of those things that you hate to see it. You really hate to see it because it's an issue. It is really an issue. And I just, I don't know, man. This is incredibly frustrating to me. Yeah, Boyd, I agree. Dad needs to frickin' step off. Yeah, he does. And I wouldn't be surprised, by the way, if Dallin Holker ends up at Utah. I would not be surprised.
See, everyone's saying that, but to me,
Keithy and Dalton, Brant Keithy and Dalton Kincaid are going to the NFL. They probably should have gone this year.
But so
right?
Here's my thing, though. So you're going to leave your stature in BYU's program to go to Utah and sit for yet another year, right? Because you're not, I mean, I guess injuries happen, who the hell knows, what availability looks like. Maybe something unfortunate happens to Kincaid or Keithy, and then all of a sudden that opens up opportunity. But to me, you have the quarterback throwing the football is pretty similar. Like, I think we can all agree Cam and Jaron throwing the football are pretty close. I don't think there's any steep fall off either way. And I think the only logic in going to Utah, to me, if you're Dalton, is Yeah, they use the tight ends a lot more, but that's only because they don't have as much wide receiver talent. So that's why I say this is all just ass backwards, man. This is all just sideways and jumbled from the get. The fact that you're sitting here making the case that you're underutilized, but the stats say you are utilized as a rotational player, because that's what the stats say. They don't say that he's utilized as a starter. Obviously, he's not a starter. But what they do say is he's utilized heavily as a rotational player. So that's why I say, what do you think the case is going to be at Utah? Like, to me, it doesn't make sense to do this the way you did it to go to Utah. If you're going to do this the way you did it, then you're going to go to, let's just say, Baylor as a ridiculous example. Like, go to a program that's just like on planet Mars. Go to a program that's in another conference that fits what you need. It doesn't make sense to leave BYU to go to Utah, in my opinion.
As a tight end, I might disagree with you. I mean, if Brant Keithy and Dalton Kincaid both wind up in the NFL next year, I mean, that's a huge hole to fill.
But my point is the waiting. Like, the logic here is I'm being underutilized now. Okay, so you're being underutilized now, so you're going to go to a program where you're going to sit the rest of the year, and then you're going to play 1 year?
Well, no, you get 2 years. He'd have 2 years of eligibility. This would be a redshirt year for him. But, I mean, he's a guy... I think it's as simple as he wants to be more of a wide receiver than a tight end.
Wow.
I think this is probably a guy that doesn't have a want to.
Get your lazy ass in the gym.
Well, I mean, maybe this is a guy that doesn't want to get his nose dirty blocking. Maybe this is a guy who's not a gifted blocker. Maybe this is a guy that he clearly is talented catching the football. I mean, we saw that tape in camp. I mean, he's clearly a guy that can catch the football, run a route. Like, maybe he wants to be more of a wide receiver. I think that that's the way you get paid in the NFL. I don't think there's any doubt that Brant Keithy being more of a wide receiver than a tight end for Utah's offense.
Yeah.
And I got to believe that Dallin Holker's watched a little Brant Keithy tape. I kind of got to think that's part of this equation. I think going to Utah and stepping in for Brant Keithy, if you are Dallin Holker, is make or break. I think he ends up at Utah. I don't know.
What do the people have to say? Let's read some more comments.
The people. Say Mason both. Brent Burnett says, I would agree. He's both. Fullbacks in football, weird. Josh Levern says, seriously. Boyd Lake says, Holker's not soft. Rex is the softy. Holker has all the tools he needs, except heart, apparently. Wow.
Oh, Boyd, bro.
Wow. Josh Levern says, Boyd, heart has zero to do with it. Well, I don't know about that. And Morris says, got to rewatch Oregon tape and see. I would agree with that. MI Jazz fan says they are both soft. The weight room is lost to them. I don't know about that. Do you?
I'm not going to sit here and say these guys are soft, but I think that it tells me everything I need to know. You know, when you're in a position where you're just, I don't know, man. I understand the case you're making about him going to Utah and why that works and why it makes sense based on college football rules. Totally get it. But I can't get what I'm really hung up on here in this conversation for him is that you're leaving a program in BYU that clearly is going places and clearly improving. There's a lot of momentum. Yeah, you got your ass kicked by Oregon, but in the big picture, the program's in a great spot. And you're being utilized and your role in the offense is growing, and you want to go to a program where you're essentially saying, yeah, I like my odds because 2 guys are going to get promoted to the NFL and I want to step into their role. You think that by stepping into Brant Keithy's role, that's going to be good for you? Do you know the expectations that they're going to put on you if you were to do that? So
you want to step into those shoes. That's the question. I mean, it almost doesn't matter. It's really difficult, in my opinion, to transfer and become a star. I mean, obviously we've seen it with guys like Jake Heaps and
Bo Nix.
Who by some degree has had some success recently at Oregon.
Please.
So you have no frame of reference here, Donnie.
But you look at guys that transfer, it's very difficult to be successful. It just is one of those things that's very difficult to measure. And it's very difficult when you're a young man trying to make this decision. I mean, there's so much complexity in it.
Yeah.
There is so much heat in it. It's really, I mean, because you got to believe. How do you sit in front of Kalani Sitake and say, I'm quitting, I'm walking away? What is that conversation like?
Not good.
Yeah,
Not fun.
Like, what do you say to, to your coordinator? What do you say to, and I wonder why his dad is the one doing the talking here. I think that's an interesting part of this. And again, I have sent a message to Dallin Holker. I texted him. I asked him to come on. He has not replied.
Yeah.
We'll see if he chooses to join the show or not. Would love to have him on. We'll have Harris LaChance on the show coming up in about an hour here, 1 hour from right now. Harris LaChance will join us. Thanks to our friends at Coug Connect for hooking that up. And again, I really do want to plug Coug Connect because they're really a good collective. If you have not been to CougConnect.com, I encourage you to go. It's $10 a month for great content, and almost every dime of that money goes back to the players. And if you've seen the shirts, the videos, the exclusive interviews, the content, they have a really cool video on their subscribe link. Just go to CougConnect.com, click subscribe, and you'll see that there's a Jaron Hall video there that talks about subscribing and supporting the players. And Coug Connect and Jake and the guys at Coug Connect do a really good job supporting BYU football players. So please consider, donating to them. They're one of the better NIL collectives in the country at CougConnect.com. It is 7:30. The biggest stories in sports this morning, presented by our good friends at TryDayTrading.com. Cannot say enough that there's a lot of interest in TryDayTrading.com right now on our show. Obviously, they're one of our newest partners. We love having them on board. Listen, if you're somebody that's hopped around different side hustles, if you're somebody that has been looking for a way to get out of your 9-to-5 grind, trust me when I say you need to go to TryDayTrading.com/Monty. Check out their webinar. It's free. All you have to do is go TryDayTrading.com/Monty. Register for the free webinar. There's no obligation. Watch that webinar, and if it doesn't impact you positively, if you're like, yeah, this isn't a fit for me, walk away. You have no obligation to continue. It costs you nothing. After all, that is a free webinar at TryDayTrading.com/Monty. But I think what you're going to see is that day trading is absolutely a revenue stream that you need to utilize. And I think when you look at companies that you're going to invest in as a side hustle, and maybe you're an Amazon FBA guy, maybe you're a guy that does doTERRA, let's say, or your wife does doTERRA. This is very different than that. This is generational wealth at your fingertips. When you go to TryDayTrading.com/Monty, what you're going to learn is that there's very little risk in this for you. TryDay Trading, what they do is they teach you, they train you, they coach you at a very high level to become a day trader in the stock market. And what that means is not that you work for anybody. No, friends, you work for yourself. You're not going to be an employee. You're learning how to work for yourself to make that money that you and your family deserve. Because when you're grinding that 9-to-5, trust Jake and I when we tell you, we did that for years.
Yeah.
When you're grinding that 9-to-5, that is a tough life.
Yeah.
And then you're coming home and maybe you're done working at 5 o'clock. Are you going to play with your kids, or are you going to work that side hustle? And maybe you're working that side hustle till 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Well, why do that when you can go to TryDayTrading.com/Monty and learn how to make real, tangible money that's difference-making for you, your wife, your kids through day trading? And the best part of it is when you get through the program at TryDay Trading, the first thing they do with you is you trade with their money. So let's say you lose all that money. It's not your money. You lost their money. Let's say, though, which is the regular, that you make money with their money. They split the profit with you 50-50 on their money. Trust me when I say get to TryDayTrading.com/Monty. Jake, I know that you're passionate about side hustling.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where I think, when you're in a position where you have your 9-to-5 and you're burned out on it and you're like, man, like I wish I had another option. I wish there was something else that I could do. Again, as he just said, not to repeat it, but we did that for years, and we were trying to, too long. And I think I'm just a big believer that everyone deserves the chance to not have to work a 9-to-5 and to do something that pays them, incredibly well and gets their time back. Because that's ultimately what your 9-to-5 is costing you, is your time. And I think that you don't realize how much time you're dedicating to someone else's company until you get that time back. And that, to me, is what true freedom's about. So the whole point of the TryDay Trading/Monty thing is that is that we want you guys to, all we're asking is to go there and check out the webinar and decide if it's something that you want to explore more. And we have a couple people who are doing it and they like it and they're having success with it. I would just encourage you to go watch the webinar because it doesn't cost you any money. It's not like you have an obligation. Once you check out the webinar, make a decision, and that's it. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity. Don't take my word for it. Go there, watch the free webinar, tridaytrading.com/Monty. All right, a couple more thoughts on this. Brent Burnett says Rex is a great guy. Yeah, by the way, congratulations, Isaac Rex. Him and his wife just announced that they are expecting a child in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
So congratulations to them. Josh Levern says portaling. Portaling. Is that the new... And Josh is dialed. Like he's a guy. Is portaling the new word? Is that what that is? Portaling doesn't mean you have no heart. These athletes have very small amount of time to showcase what they can do before they try to get drafted. Well, and my view on this, and the quitter quarterback at Utah, Charlie Brewer, he got beat because he didn't perform. So his alternative was to sit and compete. He chose to quit.
Yeah, take it. See ya.
I can't do that. I can't do that.
Yeah.
I just...
It's a bad look.
I can't do that. Brent Burnett says, how just dad talk for me? Yeah, don't have your dad do the talking because Brent also says it's embarrassing when parents talk when you should be, but whatever. I agree with that. Boyd Lake says, I'm betting Kalani sheds tears when kids leave his program this way. I would guess so. He's just... Yeah, and you know what? NY Jazz fan is exactly right. Kalani is such a good dude, Whittingham too. I would hate to feel like I am letting him down or the team down by a move like this. Kalani makes it too hard not to be loyal to him for him. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yep.
Totally agree with that. Jeremy Bolton says, Rex and Holker have heart. If you want to find athletes who have no heart, look no further than Alex F. Caruso. Wow. An Alex Caruso mom. Okay, fine.
That's how it's going to be.
Jeremy.
That's how it's going to be.
Okay. Holker is already in an optimum position to showcase. That excuse doesn't fly. You caught 5 balls against Oregon.
Agreed.
That sticks in my craw a little bit.
Yeah.
And I want to ask him about that. I hope he comes on. I hope he comes on the show. It really bothers me that you quit after the Oregon loss. The timing is what it is. I get it.
Is saying he quit a harsh way to verbalize it?
No, he quit on BYU football. Dallin Holker quit. There's no... Football is a very cut and dry sport. You either have it or you don't. It's hard.
Yeah.
It is difficult. Football hurts. It is a true test of your character. And I don't think that Dallin Holker quit because it's hard. I've got to believe that the messaging that he was getting from his coaches was not one that he wanted.
Let's go somewhere.
It's as simple as that. But when you don't speak and we don't hear from you directly, that's a problem.
Lets us wonder.
And Boyd, I totally get it. Boyd Lake, as we said earlier, timing is for the red shirt. I get it. I don't care about the red shirt. The problem is it looks like you quit because it was hard. And until we talk to Dallin or hear otherwise, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
You don't quit on a group of men that you are growing and battling with after that kind of game.
Yeah.
You just don't do that.
You want to transfer, quit after the USF game.
And I'd love to ask him that. What went into this decision? How long have you been thinking about this? Because this is not something that happens over the course of a week.
No, this happened in the offseason.
I totally agree. And my guess is Dallin and his dad had a plan where, hey, if this season starts and we don't feel like we're moving in the right direction, we're gonna sit out after game 3.
Do you want to set up the meeting?
And I hate that. It's not the right way to go into a season.
Agreed.
You should have sat out or entered the transfer portal after fall camp. You should have, and likely what you should have done is transferred after spring.
Yeah.
But now you walk away, and so Boyd, and again, Boyd, you're exactly right. The timing is to save his red shirt. This is not the right way to go about it.
Yeah.
You should have transferred in the spring because you can't tell me.
Society today?
Well, again, exactly right. You
Yeah.
can't tell me this decision was made yesterday.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. It doesn't sit right with me. And as much as I believe that being a college football player is an unforgiving, very difficult
But you knew
path
what you
through
were
the world.
signing up for, bro.
You
Like,
signed up for this.
Come on.
You signed up for this.
Like, how many times do we have to talk about people wanting to run from a situation? Like, let's put this into perspective. Like, let's make sure we're on the same page. You are a college football player at a D1 P5 caliber program. I get it. They're not in a P5 conference. They're independent. They're a P5 program any way you slice it.
Yes.
Right? So you're in a great program. You know, you're being utilized for what you've earned, because I'm a big believer in, hey, you want more catches, you want more opportunity, you got to earn that. You have to earn that. And my biggest problem with the Utah logic, and by the way, it's not like he's come out and said he's going to Utah, but a lot of people think he's going to Utah. My biggest problem with the message that sends of him transferring to Utah is you just want it easy. You're just like, I'm going to wait for these guys to move on, and then I'll just kind of be the person that backs them up or fills in. That's what you want.
It's frustrating. And we talk a lot of football here on the Monty Show, presented by the Advocates, Utah Injury Attorneys, UtahAdvocates.com to get your free consultation. I hate these stories.
And by the way, I don't think that handling it this way lives up to the character and the culture in the program. I don't even think this is a Kalani issue per se, although I don't think he'd be thrilled about this. I think this is a culture issue. Like when you do something like this, that is not the culture on this football team.
You don't quit. You just
it just is a bad taste, bro. It's a bad taste.
And Boyd's second half of this comment, I think, is really important as well. Timing saves a red shirt, and it took reps from players. A selfish move.
Yes,
I think it's an incredibly selfish move, and I don't think that's what the foundation of BYU football is about. No. And that, to me, is probably why Dallin's not a fit at BYU. And I know a lot of people on Twitter are pissed. I said I questioned his character on Twitter. Well, maybe your character isn't a fit at BYU. That's the hard reality.
Yeah.
Does that make you a bad guy? It doesn't. Does not fitting in at BYU mean you're a bad person? It doesn't. What my issue is that you didn't do this in the right time and place.
Was not proper.
You know, and funny, the other Dallin who did something similar to this, Dallin Levitt, back in the day, and wound up at Utah State. Like there's a right way and a wrong way to transfer.
Grass isn't always greener, bro.
You know, and let's be honest though, if he doesn't wind up at Utah, he made a mistake in transferring.
Yeah.
If Dallin Holker doesn't end up wearing a uniform next season, he made a mistake here.
Yeah.
Because if you wind up anywhere else in the country, if you wind up at Utah State, if you wind up at Weber, if you wind up wherever,
yeah,
it's a mistake.
You hurt your career, man.
It's a mistake because I can almost justify going to Utah. Hey, you're going to lose two tight ends that are very prolific pass catchers. You're going to play for a national championship every year, arguably. You're going to be in big games of consequence. Ooh, Mrs. Monty shows up wearing some fire on the feet today.
Mm-hmm.
You're going, I understand why you would go to Utah. I mean, I totally get it. I just hate the way you did it. If you'd have done this in the spring and then you'd have wound up at Utah. And by the way, what this does is this allows him to be in the program in spring. Totally understand that. But if you're Utah, do you feel good about the way this kid transferred?
No.
If you're the team where he's going to, do you care about the way he transferred?
That's an issue.
I don't know. I think it should. You know, let's see. Jeremy Bolton says, side hustle is Built Bar tester.
There you go.
Hey, man, I had a Cougar Tail again last night. They're good bars. Just stop by my friend over at Max Muscle here in South Jordan. You know, use the promo code Monty15. Got myself some Built Bars. You know, the funny thing here is Mrs. Monty is not going to be on the show today. She's got other more important things to do.
Catch me outside. How about that?
But her and Jake are color coordinated. He's wearing all black and red. She's wearing teal and black. Like, hey, you do you.
Right.
You do you. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Bernard transferred and Utah was fine with that. Yes, he was. I remember that. Absolutely.
Well, they're not going to
that.
say no to the kid, but it's a premise thing. It's a moral thing.
Yeah. Hullabilly says, nope. Oh, Hullabilly. No, bro. Nope. Do you see what his little avatar there is? Hullabilly, do not question me. Do not push me. That's a Minnesota Wild badge. We don't allow that on the show.
Yeah.
Hullabilly.
Makes me want to puke.
It does, actually.
Yeah.
I hate the Minnesota.
Get the hell out of here with that.
Nope, we don't want him. Wish him the best, but don't want to see him in a Utes uniform. Well, if you're a Ute fan, you should want Dallin Holker. The guy's good.
It's ridiculous.
Oh, God, here we go. Wild all day, baby. I'm
stooge.
Casbro. Whatever. CKS says dog eat world. Utah has had guys bail on them also. Oh yeah, it's there's no doubt about that.
So I'm saying I don't think it's a program issue. Look, man, I could spend hours talking about why this is a bad look, man. It's not. It's a bad look for many reasons, and I just think that when you're a college athlete and you're not a quarterback or a star running back, or let's say Will Anderson, a star defensive end at a program like Alabama, damn, you better get it right. If you're going to transfer, if you're going to leave what you've established, you better be in a P5 D1 program. Straight up. Anything less, you made the wrong decision, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that. By the way, coming up in 5 minutes, Football 50 presented by Papa Murphy's Pizza, papamurphyspizza.com. Use promo code Monty25. For that, well, Boyd's not wrong about that either. We happily took Samson Nakua as well. Well, and Puka's a transfer. I mean, you get a lot of college football is a transfer game. This is not. I'm not upset, or I don't disagree that with Dallin having the right to transfer. I mean, that doesn't. That's
dude. Transferring
everybody.
is not the issue.
It's how this was handled.
Yes,
his dad making the announcement through Jay Drew and the Des News. That he did it after the Oregon game, that he quit on his team in the middle of a season after one of the most difficult losses in Kalani's history.
Yes.
It's just not the right way to go about it. Character matters, dude. And I'm not trying to have some philosophical, meaning of life
with Uncle Monty
on BYU radio. I'm not trying to do that. Character counts, though. Character matters. The way you handle adversity in this life, and I'm a big believer in this. When you quit on football, what's going to happen the first time you have a real job and it gets hard?
How about that?
Is dad going to make an announcement to your supervisor? You know what I mean? Like that, but that's the God's honest truth.
Yes.
When you handle it this way, it just is. It's a forecast. It is a light into your character. And I'm not going to sit here and rip this kid because he doesn't deserve that. He does not deserve that. In my opinion. Jeremy Bolton says, wish we had Samson for one more year. Well, right now you do. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Boyd Lake says the Nakua's both transferred for family situations, not to flee to get more playing time. Good Lord. Boyd Lake is on fire.
But I agree with what Boyd's sentiment is. The issue here, let's be very clear, the issue isn't transferring. Transferring is a mechanism in college football. Transferring happens every day.
Yeah.
BYU and Utah both benefited, and both, it's negatively impacted the program as well, both ways. I'm sure he's choked on water just like we do on this show.
Damn it.
But it's not about transferring, man. It's about how you handle it, the way you treat people. Like, you can't just, I got news for you in this life. Yes, you can do what you want, but if you want to have success and you want to be somebody, you can't just do whatever the hell you want.
No, you can't. And again, I think the hard part is that when you're a kid and you're a college football player, you're not living a real life. You're not living in reality. Right? Now, a guy like Harris LaChance coming up in 40 minutes, and we will ask him about this. When you have kids, when you're married, that's a different thing. Dallin Holker is a guy who, if he handled this the right way, he would have gone to his coaches, and let's call it Kalani, right? He would have gone to Kalani after spring ball, and he'd have said, hey, look, here's how I'm feeling. And maybe he did this. I don't know.
That's why he should come on.
I want to make this very clear. I sent Dallin Holker a text. I asked him to come on. We'll see if he does. he should have gone to Kalani and said, hey, I'm feeling a certain types of way.
Right.
I'm thinking about this. I'm feeling this way. Set me straight. Tell me I'm wrong. And my guess is, and knowing the way Kalani works a little bit, Kalani is very much a straight shooter. I think the first thing that he would have done is said, hey, man, thank you for coming and talking to me. Thanks for being honest with me. Those are difficult things for kids to do.
Facts.
When you want to quit on something or you want to leave the program, it's tough to go to Kalani and say, hey, I want to leave the program. But being a man and growing into a man and doing the right thing is not having your dad go to the media.
Okay.
For crying out loud. It's not having dad go to the Des News and confirm the story.
Dad went to the Des.
It's not. And that's why I'd love to have Dallin on. And you know what? If you're listening or whatever, we treat everybody with respect on this show. Good situation, bad situation. I just need to know how that conversation went.
Yeah.
And again, knowing the media in this town and knowing the behemoth that is BYU football, we probably will never know.
Yeah.
We will probably never know. But the one thing that you know is that 10 to the hour, every hour, we do football at 50 on this show.
Well played. You've redeemed yourself.
See what I did there?
Yeah, that's a professional transition right there.
That is a professional transition. Harris LaChance coming up in 40 minutes, thanks to our good friends at Papa Murphy's Pizza. We'll get Harris's reaction to the Oregon game. We'll absolutely talk about that run game that is seemingly sputtering right now. I'm curious to hear how he felt like the O-line and the running game graded out. Harris LaChance, BYU offensive lineman, coming up at 8:30 as the Cougs get ready for Wyoming on Saturday. But let's talk about the National Football League. Who among us is not surprised that Tua Tagovailoa, the starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins, is the leading passer in the National Football League?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are surprised by this, but when you add Tyreek Hill and you play good football, that's what's going to happen. And I think the thing is I think a lot of people doubted Tua's arm strength. They doubted what he's capable of, and he's played well so far. Like, give the guy credit. That said, I'm still going to ride the train of I need to see him against one of the best defenses in the league. I need to see him step up to the line with 10 seconds on the play clock, read the defense in 2 or 3 seconds, change the play, and execute. That's what I need to see Tua do. And if he can do that against one of the best defenses in the league, then they're for real.
You know, and I think it's one of those, I believe that Tua would fail. I believed he would fail. And I'm not saying that Tua Tagovailoa is a successful NFL quarterback yet, because I don't think he is. But I will say it's almost, is the word gratifying? Like, you feel good that he's had this kind of start to this season. Like, he's got 2 of the top 3 wide receivers. He's got one of the hottest young coaches in the NFL. And you have a guy in Tua that, frankly, has had a ton of adversity in his career. And now you look at the numbers in Tua Tagovailoa.
Right.
I think that's the proper pronunciation.
Okay.
Tua Tagovailoa has 739 passing yards, completing 71% of his passes, 7 scores, 2 picks. He's 116.5 and 1/2.
Right.
For a QB rating. I mean, I just think that this guy, this is a really good story in the NFL. But friends, please do not mistake him as the best quarterback in the NFL. No. We all know that's Justin Fields in Chicago.
Please.
That's a lie. Followed closely at number 2 by Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills. Jake, who's the best quarterback in the NFL? I say it's Josh Allen in Buffalo.
Yeah, I think right here today it's Josh Allen. I think, as the season wears on, Tom Brady's the best quarterback in the NFL. I think even still, he's not as mobile as some of these guys. Sure, is he a gunslinger the way Josh Allen is? No. But he's still a winning quarterback. He's still somebody that you expect to be in the Super Bowl. And until he retires or that expectation changes, I think Tom Brady still holds that accolade. However, yeah, I do think Josh Allen's coming. I do think that Patty Mahomes is out to prove a point this year because he doesn't have Tyreek anymore, as we just got done explaining. I do think that Aaron Rodgers has a point to prove without his boy Devontae. So that's why I say there are guys out here who are really good in the league who have a point to prove.
Okay, Boyd Lake is winning the day by far. Tua, I tag your mama. Is that a new nickname for Zach Wilson?
There it is.
No, not too soon, Boyd Lake. Not too soon. But clearly the best comment of the day is Sir Brandon, who says, like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Help the show out better than like 98% of all sports radio out there. Yes, we are.
Appreciate that.
And we're better looking, too.
Appreciate that. I promise we won't transfer portal to Twitch, okay? We're good here.
Exactly right. Yes, please give us a thumbs up, a like. Really helps the show grow. But as far as good quarterbacks go, yeah, I think, well, that's true, Mike P. We'll see you against the Bills this week, no doubt about that.
That's what I mean. So, like, against the Bills, if dude comes out and execute, and he's not going to throw for 400 yards on the Bills, obviously, but if he has 250 on the Bills, that's a nice week, dude. That's legit.
That's an accomplishment. Ryan Scanduras speaks my language. Let Justin Fields pass the ball.
It's Chicago. They don't do that.
I am such a frustrated Chicago Bears fan, and the funny thing is, it's incredibly frustrating to be a Bears fan just on the regular. But when you have a guy like Justin Fields who has shown capabilities and they're like, all right, turn around, hand it off. Hey, pitch it out to the right.
Hey, pitch it out to nobody.
Sweep. Jet sweep.
Dude, damn.
Yeah, jet sweep again. It's so frustrating. I think the Packers have won 37 straight games against the Bears. It's so annoying. It is terrible. All right. Hullabilly. Chicago has 28 pass attempts through 2 games. Yes, I know. I am aware. Scanduras says Mahomes has to prove that 2 eye safeties won't put him in hell anymore. Well, I also think that, do you have the weapons you need to be prolific in Kansas City? I mean,
he has enough, but the scheme in the strategy, the offensive identity has to get better. Like, you now have to play as a team rather than just saying, all right, Pat, like, scramble and find Tyreek on the crossing route, because that's what their offense was. Like, okay, Tyreek on the crossing route, Kelsey up the seam, and then you had a stable of backs that could punish the defense. So that's why they were successful. So now that's changed.
That Charger defense kind of exposed them a little bit.
Yeah.
And by the way, again, painful Chicago Bear fan, tell me that Khalil Mack hasn't been a nice pickup there.
He has.
Yeah, I think he has been a nice little pickup there, for certain. Mike P says that's what you get for hiring a linebacker coach as your head coach.
Agreed.
Thank you.
1,000%.
I mean, why would you draft Justin Fields and give him, like, I don't know, an offensive guy, and you're like, why Mitch Trubisky him with, like, an offense that doesn't fit his skill set? Yeah, exactly right. I mean, I'm not doing that. I'm not. How good is Tom Brady still? Is Tom Brady still Tom Brady?
Yeah, I think Tom Brady is still Tom Brady. I think that the guy, as skinny as he looks and as many vegetables as dude eats, I think he's still, like I just said, the best quarterback in the league. And I think it's because he plays the game with his mind. He knows how to beat your defense. He knows where you're going to be before you know where you're going to be, and that's because the guy just studies obsessively, and that's why you see Mike Evans willing to fight guys. That's why you see everyone protecting him, and Mike Evans saying to officials, that's Tom Brady, what do you want me to do? Because they know he can take them to the promised land.
Most disappointing quarterback this year has to be Russell Wilson.
Yeah. Yep.
But isn't Joe Burrow a close second?
So far, yeah, but I think the difference is people give Joe Burrow the benefit of the doubt because he went to the Super Bowl last year, and so they start to wonder, hey, like, what's going on in Cincy? Obviously Joe Burrow can play at a really high level, so yeah, I think Russell Wilson is he definitely is leading the NFL in that.
I think Joe Burrow has been incredibly disappointing. I mean, and that's your dude. I know you.
Yeah, I love Smoking Joe. Guy is inspirational. He's everything you want him to be, but I think that, it's Cincinnati. Your window of winning is probably not going to be as big as, like, the Rams, let's say, or any of these other major markets.
Yeah. There's so many quarterback questions this year.
Yeah.
Like, I look at Lamar Jackson. Why haven't they paid him? Now they're not going to negotiate because Lamar doesn't have an agent, which is one of the dumbest things. But I think there's so many quarterback questions. Is Matt Ryan the problem in Indianapolis? Is Is Jalen Hurts going to be the long-term fit in Philadelphia? Like, I just think we see so many of these issues with quarterbacks in the NFL. All right, Football 50, 10 of the hour, every hour on the Monty Show, presented by Papa Murphy's Pizza. It will be quite interesting to see what Harris LaChance has to say coming up at 8:30. Interesting week, but also don't forget that Harris LaChance is presented by Papa Murphy's Pizza.
No one goes all in on made-from-scratch freshness like Papa Murphy's. Because when you go all in, people notice. Go all in with the Triple Pet Pizza for just $11.99. Papa Murphy's. Change the way you pizza.
Yep, Papa Murphy's Pizza presents football at 50. Make sure you use the promo code Monty25, M-O-N-T-Y, Monty25 to get 25% off your order of $25 or more. Straight up, it is 8 o'clock on the Monty Show, presented by The Advocates, UtahAdvocates.com. When you're in an accident, you know, if you've been in a car accident, if you've had a slip and fall, if you've been injured at work, there's only one place to go, UtahAdvocates.com. They know when you're injured, when you've been in a bad situation. It's one of the most difficult times of your life, and maybe you're not thinking clearly, and you're not thinking about, well, hey, how am I going to pay my medical bills, let alone my mortgage or my rent or my car payment? Let the advocates represent you. Let them fight for you. Let them defer your medical bills. Let them give you a free consultation. And do you understand that when you work with the advocates, you don't pay them a penny until they win your case? Chat with them online for free at UtahAdvocates.com. I've known Matt Driggs for a very long time. Matt has supported this show all the way back to my time at 1320K Fan, the sports leader. Matt and the Advocates were partners of ours at the station, so it's great to have them back on the show. I just believe in those guys so much. So if you need an injury attorney, if you've been in a wreck, make sure you get taken care of at UtahAdvocates.com. The biggest stories in sports this morning. Certainly, I think BYU's got a lot of issues as they get ready for Wyoming this week. That's Saturday night, 8:20 ESPN. 2. It'll probably be more like 8:30, isn't it? Always delayed.
It's always delayed.
BYU, Wyoming, Lavelle Edwards Stadium, ESPN2 on Saturday night. This is actually a big game, I think. And I'm looking forward to talking to Harris. And I know that, he's a guy that has been. I think he's been a pretty honest, straight shooter with us.
Yeah.
I'm curious to ask him what did the tape look like against Oregon, because you can't tell me it looked good. And I'm just curious about, hey, what is it that's holding the run game back? Because I also want to ask him his thoughts on Jaren, because I think Jaren's playing really good football.
Yeah.
I think he is a guy that you can see he's just grown up. He's more mature.
Yeah.
And he's somebody that I think obviously this football team is built around offensively. But all of us are surprised that the run game hasn't gotten going more.
Hasn't been prolific. It hasn't been a mainstay in the offense.
Yeah, and I think Chris Brooks is a guy that you expect to get better every week, and I still expect that. I still, I have a lot of faith in this coaching staff and in the talent that's on this offensive, side of the football. I expect them to run the ball better as the weeks go on. And I mean, you would think that they would be able to do that against Wyoming and Utah State, but what happens with Arkansas and Notre Dame? Like, those are, you've got to spend these next couple of weeks really getting ready for that, because as we head down the stretch of the season here, and I can't believe we're already, it's September, 21st today?
Yeah.
I mean, we're in the last week of September now.
Yeah.
The air's turning, the leaves are turning, it's a little cooler at night.
It's crispy.
Now we're getting into important football games, and everyone matters, I get it. But you're getting into the real critical stretch of your October football schedule. You really would like to be firing on all cylinders. So we'll talk to Harris about that, presented by Papa Murphy's Pizza. This Dallin Holker story overnight that came out. Oddly, it came out at like 11 o'clock last night.
Another thing I've got a problem with.
That Dallin Holker is indeed...
You see what I mean? You see what I mean? Not to cut you off, but you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Right? So wait, let me get this right. Your team lost. You announced your transfer after week 3. You did it at 11 o'clock at night, and you're going to be out until November, it sounds like through this whole transfer process.
Okay.
It's just weird.
Jake, we have more issues. Byron Jepson said, no offense, but the NFL music is annoying and distracting.
Okay, so it's controversial now.
Okay,
so we need a definitive answer in the comments. I mean, we can just not do it. We can not do the music. We don't have to, but I thought it was nice.
Jeremy says, we're not talking about a game. Not a game, but music. Not a game. We're talking about music. So, I mean, is it that it's too loud? Is it that you don't like the music at all? I don't know. I kind of like the energy and the vibe that the music brings to the Seggy, man. Like, I mean, and I'm happy to, turn it down. Like, I don't know. Do we need a vote?
Look, we're getting support for it here, so it's kind of even, it looks like.
Yeah. Let's see. Jeff Johnson says, yeah, I don't like it either.
Okay.
Josh Levin says the music was nice.
Okay.
Giggity says, bro, if you're distracted by the music, there are bigger issues.
Okay,
wow.
Chill, Giggity.
Wow.
Jesus.
Wow.
Bro.
So does the music need to be lower? You know what? Next.
Here, wait. I got it. So, hey, Jake, what did you think of the music on the show? Well, I'm not quite sure. I haven't had a chance to watch the tape yet, but I imagine that after we watch the tape, we'll be able to, really evaluate our performance, and we'll make some adjustments.
We'll have to make some adjustments in the execution. We really want to make sure that we, understand the formation of the program and exactly how better fucking execution. Deploy the chimes better so that it's not distracting. And I'm just, we're just happy to be here with you this morning and contributing to your day. And
now, we'll take, I'll take any of your guys' questions, as Kalani always says.
Yeah, and then we'll just answer them with Coach Speak.
We're getting somewhere.
NY Jazz fan says, I don't come here for the music. Doesn't matter to me. Well, listen, we're just happy you're here in general, and we want you to know that we take this stuff seriously.
And we don't want you portaling to another YouTube channel.
Yeah, we do everything that we can do to support our viewers. And again, we're just happy to contribute to your day and whatnot. It's fine.
Okay.
Fat Jesus says, if the NFL music is too loud, you're too old. Wow. How about you play the Benny Hill theme music when talking about Utah football? No, I don't think that. Listen, we don't want to offend anybody, and
we're really an all-inclusive program that really looks for everyone's opinion.
Yeah, and on this show, that we just try to bring in the best news on Alex Caruso and his career development. And so, listen, at the end of the day, when all is said and done, when we look back on things and we contemplate our performance, we'll go back and listen to the tape and watch the show, and we'll find ways to improve.
Next question.
Yeah, next question, please. Go ahead. Giggity says, maybe sprinkle in a little elevator music for these whiners. Good Lord, what is going on? What is going on? San Diego State Aztec says, turn up the music. It's probably too loud. Hola Billy says, not loud enough. So now the music's not loud. It's not too loud. It's not loud enough.
Okay.
Maybe sprinkle in some elevator music for these whiners. Giggity, that's amazing. Speaking of whiners, let's talk about the Pac-12. Because George Kliavkoff went all in yesterday on the Wilner Canzano podcast.
Right.
And essentially said, yeah, UCLA, we did some math with an unsharpened pencil on the back of the envelope, and you're in trouble.
Back to the envelope calculations on the negative impact on UCLA expenses, travel expenses, and just expenses for coaches' salaries and other things, just to get to the average Big Ten athletic budget. And, we think that the incremental money they're going to receive from the Big Ten media rights deal will be more than 100% offset by additional expenses. So you end up taking that money that you earn, and it goes to airline and charter companies and coaches and administrators. It doesn't go to supporting the student athletes.
No, because what? Supporting the student athletes? What? So they can transfer?
That's an issue.
Bitter. Listen, this is one of the dumbest things George Kliavkoff has ever said. And he said some dumb things.
Yeah.
So let me get this right. You pulled out a pencil and flipped an envelope over and penciled out some numbers on UCLA. Guy, do you think anybody takes that seriously? If you're going to rip UCLA and say, well, at the end of the day, UCLA is bad for student athletes. They're going to lose money. maybe you should have a forensic accountant do that. Maybe you should have like actual analysis. Why sit on a podcast with two Pac-12 homers, which, with all due respect, Canzano and Wilner are Pac-12 homers. Their very livelihood depends on the Pac-12 surviving.
And everyone knows that. This isn't a secret. It's no knock on them. They're not bad people. That's what they do. It's totally fine.
But why are you talking about UCLA's finances and then saying, well, yeah, I just did some math on the back of an envelope? And
then let's get to the next one, because this is what I have a problem with. In this next clip that you're about to listen to how he talks about, not putting mind to the things he can't control right after he bagged on UCLA.
I think if schools would have left for the Big Ten, they would have left for the Big Ten already. And also what I will tell you is I'm very focused on things that are in my control. Things that are not within my control, I find no value in spending time on.
So wait, let me get this right. Because earlier in the opportunity to let George roll on, because no follow-up questions were asked. Earlier in the interview, George Kliavkoff was asked, well, hey, are you still guaranteeing no teams will go to the Big 12? Because remember, loudmouth Kliavkoff said, because that's what this is turning into. This is turning into George Kliavkoff mouthing off all the time.
Right.
He said at Media Day, I guarantee you, there are no teams leaving this conference for the Big 12. So he was asked, again by Canzano, I think, asked him, well, hey, are you still guaranteeing that? He's like, yeah, I'm guaranteeing no teams are leaving for the Big 12.
It is if I say it is.
And he's like, well, do you think any teams will go to the Big Ten?
I just said.
I'm guaranteeing that I talk too much. So wait, let me get this right. So Phil Knight and the boys up at Nike, they're just talking to the Big Ten because, they're all friends and, they want more Nike teams in the Big Ten, right? I mean, Oregon would never leave $30 million a year. Oregon wouldn't leave $30 million a year for $130 million a year. No.
Wish this was you.
Let me pencil that out on the back of an envelope, Dick. Like, are you kidding me right now? Yes, Oregon is going to the Big Ten.
My biggest problem is George's logic is that it's going to cost UCLA more money, and UCLA is going to lose more money because the TV distribution money is going to airlines, as opposed to what? Because it's not going to the kid now.
But what actual facts are you dealing with here? So here, George Kliavkoff, let me give you the drink, okay? Because here's the truth. The truth is, you're right. Not another team is going to the Big 12 or the Big 10. Multiple teams are going to the Big 10.
Me?
Why? Yeah. Why do you think Oregon and Washington are so in demand by the Big 10, allegedly? Well, because they need travel partners for UCLA and USC.
Yes.
So you need to have home and home series every year with USC and UCLA and Washington and Oregon. And why do you think? Do you really think anybody wants Colorado in their conference? No, but
please.
Why is Utah and Colorado attractive to the Big 12? Well, so that they have somebody to play in close proximity. Why do you think the Arizona schools? Why do you think San Diego State?
Yes.
The Big Ten is not just flying by the seat of their pants, penciling out some strategies on the back of a bank statement.
The proper nomenclature is calculations.
Well, we calculated some stuff on the back of an envelope.
Come on, guy.
But the good news is we used a number 7 pencil, so we still can't read it. What is wrong with you, man? If you're going to talk about UCLA's finance, in all seriousness, if you're going to talk about UCLA's finances, you should have an accountant look at their finances and say, hey, here's what we think. Because what he said here is, and I want to play it again just so you guys realize that this is not smart. If you're going to say, well, they're going to lose money because of travel and expenses and whatnot, and listen to how general, it's all generalities. Listen to how general the statements are about UCLA's money.
Back to the envelope calculations on the negative impact on UCLA expenses, travel expenses, and just expenses for coaches' salaries and other things, just to get to the average Big Ten athletic budget. And, we think that the incremental money they're going to receive from the Big Ten media rights deal will be more than 100% offset by additional expenses. So you end up taking that money that you earn and it goes to airline and charter companies and coaches and administrators. It doesn't go to supporting the student athletes.
No specifics.
Nothing, opposed to what?
Nothing like, hey, well, if they stayed in the Pac-12, it would be $60 million to travel. oh, wait, that's still them losing money. And that's the other thing that Cleavkov doesn't want to talk about. If you're only going to get $30 million per season per school, everybody's losing money.
That's an issue.
Everybody's losing money. And you look at the fiasco that was UCLA and Under Armour, you look at all of the issues that the teams in your conference are currently facing, Thursday night games, Friday night games.
It's really despicable.
Late windows. Like, you look at all of the issues. You look at the fact that ESPN is offering you so little money that you are now talking to Amazon about your tier 1 rights.
It's ridiculous.
Come on, guy. Do you really think that UCLA staying in the Pac-12 solves the financial deficit that they're facing?
No.
Because again, what's the truth about UCLA's finances? They're in terrible shape.
Yeah.
They're in a hole. Look at Cal. California, the University of Cal Berkeley is in a terrible financial hole.
And you're the commissioner and you're doing this.
And a lot of it is because you don't have a TV deal. And the TV deal that you're signing really isn't going to be an upgrade to the one that you currently have. Staying in the Pac-12 solves nobody's issues.
As you can see, there's not much hope for you left.
Is travel, being a Big Ten member, a problem? Yes, it is. Are you excited to go play Rutgers? You're not, right? But if you have a travel partner, and let's say that you go to Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're going to play basketball, let's say take basketball, because there's a lot more travel in basketball than there is in football, right? If you're a basketball team, you're going to play Michigan. And then what my guess is the Big Ten is doing, from what I understand, is they're going to give you a regional week. They're going to take USC. They're going to have them play Michigan. They're going to have them play Ohio State. They're going to have them play Northwestern. And then they're going to come back home.
Right.
And they're going to play UCLA and Oregon and Washington. That way they don't travel for 2 weeks and they don't go out east 3 weeks in a row. And they're going to have some of the Eastern teams come west. By the way, how come nobody's worried about the teams in the East having to go to the West with travel and charters and administrators? Oh, that's right, because they're no longer in a financial hole because they've had a good TV deal for how long? If you just do the simple math, this interview with Canzano was a hit piece.
Yeah.
The Wilner Canzano podcast was George Kliavkoff rolling up, trying to drop a couple of 22 slugs in your brain pan. Right? That's what this was if you're UCLA. This was a hit piece on UCLA trying to get the Cal educational system to keep them in the conference.
Yeah.
And I just don't think it's going to work.
Yeah. There's a lot of holes in his arguments.
There's a lot of holes in his arguments. Let's get your thoughts here as we talk about Pac-12 expansion. Wow. A lot of people talking about this. Very interesting. Mike P. says, if the Pac-12 wasn't so terrible, UCLA wouldn't be $100 million underwater and leaving for more money. Correct. Absolutely correct. No doubt about this. Boyd Lake says, man, this dude is stretching. Yes, he is. NY Jazz fan says, how is he still the commissioner of the Pac-12? I don't understand this. Steering the ship is clearly not his strong suit. But you're going from Larry Scott to George Kliavkoff.
Yeah, like the problem here, I totally agree with your sentiment. The problem is he just took over.
Like 18 months ago.
Like the question isn't how is he still the commissioner? The question is, how is this the logic that you're using and the strategy you're employing to try to get what you want out of the situation? Because I completely agree with your point. Like, if you're going to bag on UCLA, you damn well better have a number or something you can lean on about how the Pac-12 is going to make them more money than the Big Ten. Like, you can't just present the problem and no solution. You can't just rip on other conferences and not have a plus or a better alternative that your conference provides. Like, you can do that, but it's obviously a bad look as we're discussing. And so that's why I say, like, New York Jazz fan, I completely agree. This guy as a commissioner was supposed to be a rock star. This guy was supposed to be like a really good replacement. And admittedly, I do feel like he's done a better job than Larry Scott, but that's not really saying too much right now. You know, like, that's just not, you haven't done much.
No, I agree with that. San Diego State Aztec says, don't piss off Chewy. People love that drop. People love that drop. Did they ask him how ESPN and the Pac-12 are hundreds of millions of dollars apart in negotiations? They didn't. They did not. Matt says, I'm embarrassed for the Pac-12. I think that's how a lot of people feel. Josh Lovren says UC Regents will be the key if they stay or go. Yeah, and I think that's why George Kliavkoff is talking about this.
Yeah, and the thing is in this interview, late, and again, as I said early in the show in the first hour, I would encourage you guys to go find the whole thing. You know, it's 40 minutes long. There's a lot in it, but if you really listen to what he says, the way he speaks in generalities, the way there's not actually numbers behind most of the stuff he's talking about, it tells you what you need to know.
Yeah, Mike P. says, I have yet to begun to defile myself, quoting George Kliavkoff. George Kliavkoff also says, Pac-7 football here on Tubi. Yeah,
Tubi.
Are we really believing? And I don't know. I don't know. Harris LaChance said 15 minutes. Thanks to our friends at Papa Murphy's Pizza.
Bro, dude said Tubi.
Yeah, Tubi's like a thing. Can you really believe that people are going to pay for Amazon Prime? Is there ROI for Amazon on Pac-12 football?
I don't think that. Well,
and are they going to pay $500 million?
The conversation is never going to be, are people going to pay to subscribe to Amazon Prime to watch Pac-12? That's not the conversation, because they're already subscribed to Amazon Prime. That's the conversation. Is it worth Amazon's time to put, college football on their platform and stream that and get that to its subscribers? Will they make money off of that? And the question is, I don't know, because when UCLA is claiming they got 29,000 people in the Rose Bowl over the weekend and it looked like there were like 5 people there, that's not a great look. So I don't know, because you're not good on the field, because you're not really an attractive product outside of Oregon, I guess Washington, obviously Utah, those 3 programs, they bring the people out. I think Utah had like 58,000, I think it was, or 59,000. They were close to a sellout. So to me, you have to be good on the field to justify, to people like Amazon that they should stream your product. Because if you're not good on the field, what's the point? And this is why George Kliavkoff and the conference are in the position that they're in.
Wait, I'm sorry. You got to put the 2 fingers. When you say this is why, you got to put the 2 fingers.
Let me do double, because this is such a prudent point. This is why, 80 times over, that you're in the position you're in, because the streaming deal helps you recruit better. No streaming deal, no recruits, no on-field performance, no streaming deal. They go hand in hand.
Yep, I agree. Josh Levern says, can't wait to see UCLA paying charters for water polo in New Jersey.
You see what I mean?
Yeah. Matt says there is literally 100 people at UCLA games. It's embarrassing. Yeah, how about that, Matt?
Yeah, dude. It's
you've
terrible.
got to get, but here's the problem. They don't have the money to build a new stadium on campus.
And why is that?
Well, because your football team's losing money. You're not making money. That's the long and short of it. Josh also says the UC system is broke in general, cash-wise and systematically. Yeah, they're broke. I don't even disagree with that. Kurt Meyer says, what revenue streams are there left to enhance the Pac-12 teams? I mean, I think your major revenue streams are your facility, naming rights, your practice facility, your stadium, your endowments from boosters and alumni, but certainly things like Nike, Under Armour, like those, your uniform stuff, Built Bar. And this is why, to bring it back to BYU, I look at the money-making machine that is BYU, the new skin, the Built Bars, the Vivint, all of their corporate sponsors.
Yeah, man.
The Nike uniform stuff that BYU does is next level. But you know what also they do? Their third-tier content creation is incredible. The cut. All of the things on BYU TV. All of that stuff that athletics creates, and when you listen to BYU radio, they have their own Sirius channel, BYU Sports Nation, that's the stuff that you're not getting from 9 out of 10 schools.
And say what you want. The opinions may be biased, and it's BYU TV or any of the boys over there. It's not about them per se as broadcasters. You have to understand that BYU as an institution is just doing its job. They're making an F-load of money because they're creating opportunities to make money through cameras and content creation studios and everything that they do. And that's why it's just so frustrating to hear this guy sit up on a mantle and talk about how, it's a bad idea for a program in UCLA that frankly is a heritage program. It's got a ton of history. It's got legacy. It should be UCLA, just like USC, should be national championship
Absolutely.
Good. They have that type of branding opportunity. But the problem is they're run so poorly and the conference sucks out loud so bad that they just aren't going to have that opportunity. It's a crying shame.
Yep, I agree. Hey, don't forget about our good friends at Barbecue Pit Stop. Man, again, coming off of a great event this past Saturday, everything but the football, but we had a great time at Barbecue Pit Stop. And the one thing that was really cool was to see all the guys at Barbecue Pit Stop, and whether it's in, St. George or Logan, Layton, Lehigh, or Salt Lake City, like all of the guys that are in those stores know smokers. They know grills. They know meat. They know spices, rubs. Like they live that lifestyle. To see those guys in action, one of the coolest things I saw was Clinton, one of the guys that works at the Barbecue Pit Stop in Lehigh, like talking to a couple of customers about the different ways to use seasoning to bring out the best in your wings, or, hey, this is the seasoning that I would use, or the knowledge of the guys at Barbecue Pit Stop, barbecuepitstop.com, it's pretty amazing. So whether you're in the state of Utah, go to any of their 5 locations. If you're going to smoke a brisket maybe for the first time, ask the guys at Barbecue Pit Stop. Call them or chat with them on their website.
Yes.
One of the best things you can do is go to the Barbecue Pit Stop website, and they actually have a chat function there where you can say, hey, I'm smoking a brisket. How long do I need to let it rest? Hey, do I need to wrap it? Should I put it in a cooler?
Because it's all part of the plan.
All that cool stuff. Hey, what's the best way to season my wings? How do I work this smoker? What pellets are the best to use for beef versus pizza versus fish or chicken? Like all those conversations. And I think a lot of people get intimidated when they hear about smokers.
Yeah.
I'm a smoker guy now. I'll never use a charcoal briquette again. I am not a propane guy. I am not a charcoal briquette guy. I am a pellet smoker guy.
Pellet smoker.
I love it. I'm all in on it. And I've only been doing it for about a year and a half now. And there's nothing I can't put on a smoker and make it amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, you learn quickly. Don't be intimidated by it. Go get your equipment from a great small business owner like all of the guys at Barbecue Pit Stop, our guy Steve in Lehigh, or any of those stores. Those are all locally owned small businesses. Go talk to those guys. Go hang out with those guys. Learn about, hey, am I better on a Traeger or a Yoder or a Big Green Egg? Am I better, maybe I'm better on propane. Maybe I'm better on, the pellets.
Yep.
They'll talk you through it because the only dog in the fight they have is that you are totally happy with it and your setup. I love it. And if you've ever used a smoker, you'll never go back.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Go see the guys at Barbecue Pit Stop, any of their 5 locations, Layton, Lehigh, Logan, St. George, and Salt Lake City, barbecuepitstop.com. A matter of moments now until BYU offensive lineman Harris LaChance hops in here. He's got a lift at 845. What do you think he benches?
I mean, it's got to be at least 400 pounds.
I mean, I would think so.
You're an offensive lineman.
And he's not a small dude.
No, he's strong as hell. I mean, dude, again, like, he pile drives guys. Like, he pancakes dudes.
And the thing that's interesting to me is offensive linemen now are so different. Like, they're athletes.
Oh,
that's
dude,
what they are.
I mean, they're, like, an offensive lineman in college football now is, you're an ox. You're really strong, but also you have the ability to move, like, and they moved him inside to guard. Like he's a
stud, dude.
Yeah.
So Harris LaChance joins us every Wednesday at 8:30 as we talk BYU football. We'll talk to him about that. I do want to remind you, we got to get back to some NBA coming up as well because this Jordan Clarkson conversation, this is an interesting conundrum for the Jazz. And I wonder around the NBA, how much value does Jordan Clarkson have? If you think about, whether we've heard a lot about the Knicks, we've heard a ton about Jordan Clarkson going back to the Lakers.
Right.
Although I think and one of the things I want to talk about is his comments, and I don't know how many people saw this. Jordan Clarkson said that there was not an opportunity to win when he was with the Lakers. And he was asked about what the Lakers were like when LeBron was joining them and all those trades went down and Lonzo Ball got traded and the New Orleans trade happens, and he pretty much said, yeah, with the group we had, we were not going to win.
Yeah.
That's fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And I think he just doesn't care, but Jordan Clarkson also said it doesn't matter to him what jersey he's wearing, that he's ready for anything.
Yeah, well, because his job's a scorer. I mean, that's you're an assassin. That's what you do.
I don't know, man. That's That's interesting to me. So we'll do that coming up in about 30 minutes at 9 o'clock. We'll be talking about that. We'll have the latest for you, but we're getting you ready for BYU in Wyoming. I think this is a huge football game for BYU, and I know it's Wyoming, but by the way, Wyoming's got good size. That's a team that's winning football games. Like, I don't know that this is going to be the cakewalk that a lot of BYU fans think it is.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know about a cakewalk, but I think the expectation is to win handily, certainly by double digits. And I think that maybe they're a tougher program, but BYU should roll these guys.
Well, and I would not want to be Wyoming this week. I mean,
no.
I think
I'd be pissed if I was that BYU program. I'd be really upset with and again, not to be negative, and I know you're going to ask Harris about the tape, but I think that it's no secret BYU missed a lot of tackles. The run game struggled a bit, and that's why I say I think there is a lot of things to work on in the program. I think as much as there is to work on, you also have a lot of positives going on in the program too. I mean, again, Jaren's playing well. You're 2-1 without, obviously Puka played in week 1, but basically you've played 2 tough games here without Puka. And you're 1-1 in those games. I don't know, man. I think that it's not like they got to move heaven and earth to clean this thing up a little bit. Like, all you need to do is execute in the run game a little bit better. Like, I'm not saying you got to average 5 yards a carry, average 3.5, 4 yards a carry, and that's going to allow you to get the ball to Chase Roberts a little more, So that's what I think they need to do.
Yep, totally agree. All right, let's get Harris a chance in here because he's got a lift, and I've got to ask, Harris, straight away, man, I think I bench more than you. So, hey, bro, what do you bench?
Well, let's hear what you bench first.
225, 13 times.
225, 15 times?
13. I'm not 15 yet, 13 times.
13's pretty good. That's okay. That's a good start there. I agree. Barely got 22 this past off season, so 13's good. It's a good start. I think I did that my senior year of high school, so
yeah, like 8th grade, I was putting up like 225 10 times, so congratulations. Welcome to middle school, Mont. I get it. I totally get it. So are you a big fan of the weight room? Are you are you a back squat guy? Like, what do you actually like lifting?
I like benching. I like doing arms. I can squat. I can squat some, I don't know, I don't hate the weight room. I don't love it, but it's necessary. So I get in there, and that's what we do. So,
yeah. And by the way, I think what's interesting is, not to get way off the track here, but the body of an offensive lineman has changed significantly, probably over your career. I mean, obviously, we've talked about your move inside to guard, but you have to be far more athletic than the traditional offensive lineman because I think the game of college football has changed. So how much has your lifting regimen, how much has your conditioning regimen changed?
No, yeah. I think, especially at BYU, we the kind of offense we run, we have to have some really athletic offensive linemen. So ever since I've been here, we've always focused on nutrition and gaining good weight and not gaining bad weight and, being able to run fast and be strong and be flexible. Those things are crucial, especially at the next level as well. You're not going to see any kind of big crappy bodies out there. So you got to take care of yourself really well.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt about it. Talking to Harris LaChance, BYU football offensive lineman, thanks to our friends at Coug Connect and Papa Murphy's Pizza. Harris, obviously, this was a tough weekend for you guys. The trip to Oregon was difficult in a lot of different ways. Going back to that game, how did the tape look? How did you grade out? Like, what are your thoughts now reminiscing on the Oregon game?
Thoughts now are, could have played better. Could have played better, should have played better. But there's lots to learn from, and there's a lot of things that we could have done better. And it's like, well, now we have to move on to the next. It's Wednesday, so we've already moved on and are getting excited and prepared for Wyoming. So that was a tough game, but we got to learn from it.
How much of a test is that for you guys, though? I mean, obviously, when you look at that kind of game with all of that hype, and you guys were clearly jacked going into that game, I mean, how tough is that when you go into a situation like that and you don't play as well as you wanted to? I would imagine, we talk a lot about, we use words like character and heart, But I would imagine this is a test of your will. This is a test of your character as a football team when you go into an environment like that and you don't meet your goals or achieve the things that you wanted to achieve.
Yeah, no, it is. And that's like what I was saying, you're going to have some bad losses. You're going to lose some. So you have to learn from it. You have to be able to be honest with yourself and say, hey, I didn't play my best here. But how can I be better, and how can I prevent that from happening next time? And that's all you can do. And it's tough. It is. But like I said, in weeks before too, you have to stay steady. No crazy lows and no crazy highs. We have to stay on that track.
To your credit.
Keep moving.
To your credit, you've talked about that a lot as we visit with Harris LaChance on the Monty Show, presented by Papa Murphy's Pizza. Let me ask you about the run game, because a lot of people have talked about this. Are you guys running the football effectively, and what do you see that you guys can do better to be more effective running the ball?
Yeah, no, we haven't been running the ball very well lately, and it shows. We've got to get some good D linemen, but at the same time, we need to be able to get more movement up front and to run off the ball harder and fix our landmarks a little bit. And that's something we've been working on this week of practice already, and we're trying to get that back and get that tightened up here. And so, yeah.
Well, to my eyes anyway, and I'm not in the room with you guys, but it seems like to my eyes, you guys were on your blocks. Is it more of a thing that are you not moving your opponent well enough? Are you guys not holding up well enough at the point of attack? What as offensive linemen can you do better to be more effective in the run game?
Yeah, well, as an offensive line unit, there's 5 guys, so we all have to be on the same page. We all have to be moving our guy together. If one guy misses his block, then it can screw up the whole play. And I felt like a lot of those times it was like that. One guy would miss up here, and it's tough when you're not all on the same page and not all together. So that's what we're doing.
Well, that is very, again, I say that you should run for office at some point in your life, because that is a very polished answer, Harris LaChance. So well done there, my man. But as you guys come out of that game and now you look forward to Wyoming, is that performance motivating for you guys? Because, you hear a lot of people say, well, man, I wouldn't want to be Wyoming this week. But I mean, that's an opponent you have to respect. But how much fire, how much fuel comes out of the Oregon game as you guys look forward to Wyoming?
Oh, I think for me personally, a lot, and for a lot of us, man, we got something to prove, and we got to, like I said, too, stay back on our track. We know we're a good team. We know what we're capable of. We know that we didn't, reach that bar this last Saturday, so it's like time to amp it back up, baby. We got to get right back on track here, boys. So we're excited. We got to respect this opponent. Wyoming's good, man. They're 3-1, and I'm excited to play them. It should be a good game.
Yeah, I would imagine that you're looking forward to getting back on the field, because this cannot be a fun week for you guys. And I mean, I obviously, playing football is a great way to, to live your life. But when you lose that kind of game, this week cannot be fun for you guys. You must be ready to strap it up and get out there.
Yeah, we're excited to get to work. It is fun though. It's not, we try. We're a culture of love and learning, man. So we got to stay positive here. Learn from our mistakes, but we can still have fun. We can still laugh, and we know what we did wrong, but that's okay. We can get better. You know what I mean? So we're having fun still.
Yeah, and obviously the news came out last night that Dallin Holker is transferring. How does that happen in your football team? Like, do you guys talk about those situations? And one of the other things that I think is so interesting is you guys have seen some really one-off odd opportunities this year, challenge-wise, whether it was the Duke conversation, all of the noise around this Oregon game. Now you have this situation where you have a teammate that's decided to leave. How do you guys deal with that situation?
We heard about it, yesterday. It was kind of weird, but we're just kind of like, well, that's his own personal decision, and got to respect that. And the thing is it's like this one guy, and we can win with or without him. So that's cold hard facts, and that's the truth. And we love him, wish him well. But it's like this kind of random, I think personally. But whatever, got to move on, I guess.
And I think you and I have talked about the business of college football in the past.
Yeah.
it's changed. This is the business of college football. Are you somebody that likes the business of college football? Are you somebody that you have no choice to embrace it, but is this just part of doing business in today's college football world?
Yeah, I think it is, especially because the transfer portal and everything. It's forced a lot of kids to grow up and realize that it is kind of more business sided now, and you have to kind of not be selfish, but look out for yourself a little bit more than in the past, especially with like NIL deals and all this sort of crap, man. It's crazy, and it's hard to navigate for a lot of young kids, and that's understandable, and you have to understand that and realize you're right. This is a business, and you got to love the game though first, but yeah, you also have to do that. Take care of yourself.
And the last thing I'll ask you about this is the reality of being a football player. And, I think one of the hard parts is when you're getting critiqued, and I would imagine the feedback you guys get from coaches, and heck yeah, loving and learning and supporting, I totally understand that. But to win at a high level and to meet the expectation that BYU football has, I mean, there's got to be some tough conversations involved in performance on the field.
Oh yeah, there's it's constructive criticism. It's getting better. It's everybody has to be coachable, and everybody has to have thick skin when you need it, and to be able to take that constructive criticism and be positive about it and learn how to change and be better.
And frankly, does that not define your character? I mean, because it's easy to fold in this life, right? But the hard thing to do, I think, is to stand up and say, yeah, you know what? Maybe I didn't hold that block well enough. Maybe I wasn't in the right place. I think that really is a character defining moment when you're getting that kind of feedback from a coach. I mean, that's going to determine who you are.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. Well, hey, go lift your weights, man. I'll get mine up today as well. I'll do the workout. I'll be in better shape. But, hey, stay healthy, man. I really appreciate you joining us every week on the show, and best of luck against Wyoming.
For sure. Appreciate it, Monty.
There you go, buddy. That's Harris LaChance. Thanks to our good friends at Papa Murphy's Pizza. Boy, he did not mince words on Dallin Holker. Are you surprised by that?
Yeah, the first thing I'll say is Harris LaChance does a damn good job of sending a message without without saying it 100%. I give him a lot of credit for that. I think, I think that Harris, he said, hey, it was pretty random. Like that's something that, that we had to deal with as a team, and I have to say, I think that, yeah, that is a proper way to describe it. I feel like I agree. He didn't really mince words on it. I mean, I'm not trying to blow it out of proportion, but yeah, I mean, it is. I have to imagine that when, as we said earlier, comes out at 11 o'clock at night, like it's not, I mean, you can go digging and ask questions when a guy like, a guy of Harris's quality and character joins the show, you could ask him about like, hey, when did this happen or that happen? But the fact is, it doesn't really matter. It came out at 11 o'clock at night, and it didn't happen at a great time after you lost to Oregon. And so, yeah, it does feel random. It does feel sort of, I have to imagine, sort of jarring, because, Harris is probably, he has lined up next to Dallin. And I think that, Harris is obviously a key part of this offense. So, yeah, I'm always impressed with Harris's ability to say what he wants to say, but say it in a way where he's not lighting someone up. That's always impressed me.
Yeah, Harris is great, and he's presented by Papa Murphy's Pizza.
No one goes all in on made-from-scratch freshness like Papa Murphy's. We go all in on quality, all in on craft. And on the Triple Pep Pizza, we go all in on pepperoni. Because when you go all in, people notice. Go all in with a limited-time Triple Pep Pizza, topped with 3 types of pepperoni for just $11.99. Papa Murphy's. Change the way you pizza.
Indeed, change the way you pizza by using promo code Monty25 at papamurphyspizza.com. Better yet, guys, download their app. Papa Murphy's has a great, easy-to-use app. All you have to do is download it today in your favorite app store. Use the promo code Monty25. And again, the best thing I like about the Papa Murphy's app, it's really easy to use. You can customize your pizza. You can get those awesome take and bake chocolate chip cookie doughs from them. Pop your pizza on the smoker or in the oven. Put the cookies right in there with them. They bake together. Amazing. Download the Papa Murphy's app. I should probably never talk in that tone of voice again. Monty25 is your promo code to save $25 off your order of $25 or more. And I think Harris handled the Dallin Holker news as well as one would expect. I mean, they just found out yesterday, Harris told us. But he did not mince words. We're going to win with or without him. And they wish him well. They love him. They hope he does well in his future endeavors, but we're going to move on without him. Yeah. And we're going to win with or without him.
And I think that's the business of football, man.
That
is. What else are you going to say? I mean, as I said like 4 times, it doesn't make Dallin a bad guy, certainly. It doesn't make him a bad human being, but I do think that, for me personally, I do think it makes me sort of be like, yeah, dude, as a football player, I don't love this out of you, as far as transferring when you did, how you did it, and at the time the announcement came out. I think, and again, I don't want to speak out of turn or say something that's not true, but I don't like it. Let's assume that he didn't talk to his teammates about it and that it was simply just an announcement that came out and that was it, because that's, without speaking for Harris, that's kind of the sense I felt like I got from it.
I don't disagree with that at all.
Like, hey, it was random and we're going to win with or without him. Like, to me, that kind of says like, yeah, like, hey, it wasn't like it was handled real great. So to me, I just think the business of college football is very cut and dry, but also in life, things are cut and dry. And yet as people, we find a way to muddy the water. And that's what I think happened here.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. And I think it's a very difficult situation to deal with. I think it's one of those things where, there's a lot of speculation, but I do not believe that BYU has a chemistry problem.
No.
I do not believe that BYU has a locker room problem.
Nope.
I think this is an isolated incident specific to Dallin Holker. And, again, I don't wish the kid poorly, but it's disappointing the way that happened. Boyd Lake says, I love Harris LaChance's answer. We can and will win without him. Just one guy. Perfect answer. Exactly right. Zayman says it was kind of random, a.k.a. Punk AB. I don't know about that. NY Jazz fan says Harris is a great dude. Yes, he is. Harris is the #1 segment I look forward to each week. Zayman says, appreciate that. Boyd Lake says Harris is an example of the highest IQ position player on your O-line. Sharp, smart dude. He really is. And I think that is apparent as we've gotten to know Harris a little bit. Obviously, we don't know him personally. He comes on the show every week for 10 minutes, and we talk about eating flats or drums and bench pressing. And what do you bench?
You like how he's like, yeah, 13 at 225. I was doing that in middle school. Bro.
The first time I ever picked up a barbell, I benched 225, fatty.
Do you even lift?
You know what I mean? Like, come on.
I thought that was great.
What do you bench?
It is what it is. And my Jazz fan, I agree. Boyd Lake, you're on point today. Exactly
what
right.
What did Boyd say?
Just everything that Boyd has said. Like Boyd, you're having a good day, man. Drink. I want some of what you're drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Provo Cougar fan says, have you noticed BYU offensive linemen say for sure a lot? Yeah, I have.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely, for sure, bruh. Football 50 coming up in 5 minutes. We'll talk about the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And then coming up in about 15 minutes, we'll get to the NBA at the top of the 9 here, because I want to get into this Jazz stuff. I want to get into Jordan Clarkson's value around the NBA. And I still think you're wrong because you don't agree with me, Jake.
Right.
How about that?
Yeah, how about that? That the Brooklyn Nets are the best team in the NBA. So we'll revisit that a little bit as well. But I think this situation, the business of college football, is what stands out to me. And this George Kliavkoff thing, I think when you look at that is the business of college football.
Right.
Dallin Holker transferring is the business of college football.
But really, it should be a very black and white, no doubt about it, easy thing. It shouldn't have to be this like muddied water, quote, back of the envelope calculations. Like, it just shouldn't have to be that way, and that's what I think is such a struggle.
How much of a struggle is it to hit 60 home runs? While you contemplate that, watch Aaron Judge hit his 60th home run last night.
And here's the 3-1. Drill deep to left field. There it goes. Number 60. Slide over, babe. You've got some company.
Michael K. on the Yes Network right there. Aaron Judge hits his 60th home run of the year. He joins names like Babe Ruth and Roger Maris. He joins names like Bonds, Sosa, and McGuire. Aaron Judge is the 6th human being ever to hit 60 home runs in a Major League Baseball season. He does it in 147 games. It would be shocking if he did not get to 65, 66. How impressive of a feat is this?
Yeah, I think it's, frankly, I think it's one of the most impressive feats in baseball and really in all of sport, because you hitting a round object with a round bat that's moving, I don't know, let's just say 95 miles an hour to be conservative. Most of the time it's probably 97 to 100. I think that's just truly incredible. I think it speaks volumes that he's doing it as a Yankee. I think it speaks volumes that he's doing it in a time when he turned down hundreds of millions of dollars and bet on himself because he didn't feel like the Yankees wanted to pay him what he was worth. And I also think it speaks volumes that he struggled really early in the season, and now he's bounced back. I mean, you're talking about a guy who hit 1 home run in his first 50 plate appearances.
Oh, my God.
And now is at 60. Like, I mean, it just tells you just how good he is.
And I'd remind you, as you just said, and I think this is the best point about Aaron Judge, he is a free agent to be.
Yes.
He is not under contract with the Yankees next season. He's going to get one of the biggest contracts in the history of Yankees baseball.
Well, and I think in the history of the league, honestly. Like, I think that, you know, Aaron is going to get probably the biggest contract that baseball's ever seen. And I think he deserves it. I think that this trend in sports now, like whether we're talking quarterbacks and we're talking about Kyler Murray or Deshaun, you know, we're talking baseball, we're talking NBA, these guys that get these massive contracts, while some of them I feel like maybe a little unjustified, I say more power to you. I mean, if you can earn it, that's great.
Yeah, we'll get back to that coming up at 9:15 because I do want to talk a little baseball as well because everybody complains we don't talk enough baseball. But right now, it's 50 past, so we need to get to football at 50. Hit the chimes.
Okay, we'll play it a little lower this time.
Is that
Let's
better?
See how much complaining we get.
If you're just tuning in, there's been a little debate about, oh, the music sucks. The music's great. Music's too loud. Music's too low.
Yeah.
Do you guys like the music in the
know.
background as
know.
we talk football at 10 of the hour, every hour on the Monty Show, presented by Papa Murphy's Pizza? Monty25 is your promo code at papamurphys.com. I think the biggest stories in football this morning, very clearly, Dallin Holker transferring from BYU. An 11 o'clock p.m. announcement last night comes out that, you know, hey, Dallin Holker's decided that he wants to save his red shirt for this season, and he's going to go transfer and play 2 years at another university. So says his dad in the Des News to Jay Drew, Bob Holker.
Right.
Hey, Bob.
Hey, Bob. Bobby B.
Bob Holker told Jay Drew last night that, yeah, he wants to go to a football program. Dallin wants to go to a football program where he believes the tight ends are being utilized. Simply what I would say. He had 6 targets and 5 catches on Saturday at Oregon. How much more usage do you want in a game?
Yeah.
And if you're laying odds, how do you not put Utah at the top of that odds chart with both Keithy and Kincaid likely going to the NFL this spring? So we'll keep an eye on that. BYU and Wyoming this weekend, Saturday night on ESPN2. Don't forget the Utes take on Arizona State, the rudderless ship known as Arizona State, as they fired Herm Edwards this week.
They're Hermless.
The Herminator. But, you know, one of the questions I think that we're starting to see now as we head down the NFL road a little bit, best and worst teams. What is surprising to you? Are you surprised that the Dolphins are playing as well as they are playing?
No, I mean, the Dolphins were good last year. I mean, it's not like they were a crap team who was like first overall pick or anything. They were good last year. I think the struggle was that Tua hadn't developed all the way, and you didn't have as much firepower as you have now. I think we underestimate how valuable having Tyreek Hill level speed is, and I think that, you know, I'm not ever going to sit here and try to sell the idea that Tua is ever going to be an MVP or the best quarterback in the league, but I do think Tua mentally is good enough to be a starting quarterback in the league for a long time. I think he can be that you know, like Alex Smith caliber guy where you're not a superstar, but you can hold your job for a team for a long time and take them to the playoffs. I think he has that upside. That's the ceiling for him, and I think you're starting to see that a little bit. Now, again, as we mentioned before, they have the Bills this week. So this is a good test and a good measuring stick for Tua's ability. If you do this against the Bills, then I'll believe in you. If you come out and you throw 3 picks and you look terrible, then I'm not going to believe in you.
I don't know, man. I think when I look at Tua, they just beat the Baltimore Ravens improbably.
Yeah.
I mean, Waddle and Tyreek are absolutely a lethal threat, but Tua Tagovailoa putting the ball where it needs to be put, I think is
By the way,
remarkable.
Like, I think to that point, when he hit Tyreek down the hill in stride, I think that answered your question about his arm strength. Everyone was mocking him, and I think he's on point.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see what the outcome of that game is. But, if I look at the best teams, I think the Buffalo Bills have given up 17 points.
Yeah.
They've scored 72 points and given up 17. If the Buffalo Bills aren't the best team in the NFL, I don't know who is, because, frankly, I don't see anybody in the NFC that's going to be able to contend with them.
Tampa.
Now, defensively, Tampa can be there, but I still – you signed Cole Beasley yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not pull any punches. They need to be healthy. Mike Evans, whether he was suspended this week or not, was probably going to get limited reps because of injuries.
Yeah.
I just don't know offensively. I have no concerns about Tampa defensively. Offensively, I don't know. I think all this stuff around Tommy, TB12, Tommy Brady, I don't know how long he can sustain doing what he's doing.
Right.
I don't see a team in the NFC that's better than the Buffalo Bills. And frankly, I don't see a team in the AFC that's played as well as they've played. Jake, I think the Bills are the best team in the NFL.
Yeah, I think right now they are. They're playing the best football, clearly. I mean, the 72-17, scored to giving up points ratio is obviously elite. But I think it all comes down to Josh Allen and consistency. I think that if Josh Allen plays this way the whole year, obviously they're going to be a Super Bowl threat. But again, it always seems like they get to the AFC Championship game and then there's some struggles. So I don't know. We'll see. But right now, they're the best team, yeah.
Did you really say when he hit Tyreek down the hill?
No, I didn't.
Did you say, well, that would be amazing if you did. Yes, you did. Say yes, you did. Say, yeah, I said that.
Yeah, sure. Okay, great.
That's amazing. Tyreek Hill, Tyreek down the hill.
Okay, yeah, that's just what I do. I'm so locked in, I don't even realize what I say.
I'm so locked in, sometimes I don't even hear my own greatness.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, yeah, I think that's a thing. Carl Chappelle says not a big fan of the music. Man, again, more hate on the music. Giggity said Jake certainly did say Tyreek down the hill.
Okay.
Stud.
Okay.
He did. By the way, Dallin Holker still has not texted me back.
He will.
New York Jazz fan says guys need to stay healthy. Still a lot of games left. There's a lot that. There's also that curse that lives in Buffalo. Well, stop jumping off of buses on the tables, idiots.
No, Bills Mafia.
Oh, I should say it, but I don't want to gaslight anybody. Bills fans are overrated. Oh! I hate, Bills Mafia. All right, time to pro wrestling. Woo! Jumping off a table.
Brother!
Hey, what happened to you? Why are you limping? Oh, I jumped off a school bus.
I had 15 natty lights and thought I should jump off a school bus.
Yeah, I Tua Tagovailoa'd my hip. It's kind of sore. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Football 50 brought to you by Papa Murphy's Pizza.
And Bill's Mafia.
And Bill's Mafia, who love Papa Murphy's Pizza, which is why you use the promo code Monty25 to get 25% off your order of $25 or more in the Papa Murphy's Pizza app.
No one goes all in on made-from-scratch freshness like Papa Murphy's. Because when you go all in, people notice. Go all in with the Triple Pet Pizza for just $11.99. Papa Murphy's. Change the way you pizza.
Okay, maybe this is me. We got to figure out this music.
Yeah.
Because we're 50-50 right now. There's 115 people here listening to the chimes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you guys want the music under Football at 50? I mean, come on. Those chimes are amazing. Are you kidding me?
We have an alternative.
Oh, God. What is it? Oh, yeah. Yes. Highlight music. How do you hate this music? Is there another one?
No, not right now.
Come on. No, play the chimes. Play the chimes.
Hold on, right here.
Yeah, this is ESPN highlight.
Come on, dude. If you don't like this, you guys are insufferable.
You know, but play the chimes.
Okay, playing the chimes.
You ready? Wait. Everybody, just shut up. Shut up. Listen to the chimes. Tell me there is not blood flowing to the lower extremities the minute you hear those chimes kick in. All right, turn off the music.
Okay, did you just make a lower extremities comment?
Yeah, throbbing. Let's see.
Wow.
It's sort of a natural reflex.
All right. NY Jazz fan says both are great. That Trump drop is amazing. Tom Basilius says this music is a strike.
I don't know what that means.
Okay. Zayman says yes music, no to Christmas music. Okay. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Okay, do you know just randomly during the day occasionally like Christmas music is in my head?
Bro,
I don't know.
Are
why.
you and George hanging out again? Okay, no, stop.
Tanner says, yes, Jake, that was better in my opinion. Hullabilly says, I can hear Chris Berman screaming. Hey, cut! Go! Oh, no! I've probably interacted with Chris Berman. In my time at ESPN, I probably interacted with Chris Berman 5 times. He's hysterical in person. Like, he is
bro,
funny in person.
Bro, the chimes are getting torched, bro.
Why?
Look at this.
Justin Salas says, number 2, but just turn it down so I can hear you guys better. Okay. Kurt Meyer says, chimes out. Really? Zayman says, there you go. Giggity says, maybe mix some other NFL Films music in for the whiners. Good Lord. Neville93, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the chimes are awesome. Chimes are. But, I mean, you know.
Zayman, again, chimes out. Wings of Gumby says, chimes suck.
Damn.
Wow. Boyd Lake says Transformer robots play football. Tanner says, I like the ESPN one better, but both are great. Okay. Ruff's official, the chimes sound like a Christmas song. Really?
Okay, I just want to play the chimes one more time just because.
That's Christmas music?
Yeah, I
don't see it.
Listen, I'm more than happy. It's not hard for, I mean, I can create a new thing. I mean, that's fine.
Oh, wow. Buster Posey has bought a minority share. Former MVP and 3-time World Series champion Buster Posey becomes the first former player to join the Giants ownership group.
Okay, nobody cares. Back to the music. No, that's a big deal.
Okay, play that music right there.
Okay.
Play that music right there. Play it. Go. Yes, play that music. The Monty Show is presented by the Advocates, injury attorneys, UtahAdvocates.com. If you've been in an accident, if you've been hurt, if you've been injured, the last thing you need to be thinking about is things like medical bills or can I afford a retainer? No, man. Get to UtahAdvocates.com. Let them defer your medical bills. And by the way, there's no upfront retainers. Your consultation is free at the UtahAdvocates.com. You can chat with them for free at UtahAdvocates.com. And by the way, the only time you pay the advocates is when they win your case. That's right. You didn't deserve to be in an accident, but you darn right you deserve an advocate. Let the Utah Advocates fight for you at UtahAdvocates.com.
Bro, doing the read with the music under it is incredible, dude. Come on.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, how do you not love it?
That's what I'm saying. Like, look, I understand you've got to upgrade the NFL Films music. Like the Autumn Wind.
Oh, I can get the Autumn Wind. 100% I can.
You know, the Autumn Wind. I mean, come on now. Giggity says Tom Jackson was underrated as Berman's co-host. I miss Tom.
Yeah.
Tom is a good dude. Provo Cougar fan says the chimes sort of like the bells people in the Tabernacle Choir. Oh, I could see that. Jeremy Bolton says maybe bust out some Carol of the Bells when you start talking about the Bears. No, we need what's the taps music? Yeah, like the Death March.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Boyd Lake says, see if you can find the old Monday Night Football highlight music. Best ever. Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
That would be amazing. Oh God, here we go. Jeremy Bolton, or if there is ever any Bulls Caruso talk, bust out the Nutcracker music. See what he Nutcracker music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Let's see. Eric C says, Eric C, what's up, my guy? Tanner, I need D. Smith to save my fantasy team.
No, to me it just says Tanner, I need D. That's what that looks like to me, bro.
Eric, are you asking Tanner for the D?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Eric?
Bro?
This has become awkward now.
If you guys ever want to kick it, we'll flow.
I know San Diego State lost to Utah, but the D?
Snapdragon's not Snapdragon anymore.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the D?
Anyway.
I don't know about that. Okay, hey, let's get into Jordan Clarkson a little bit, because I actually think this is an important conversation. And I know we talked a little bit about this yesterday, but Jake, do you buy that the Utah Jazz want to trade Jordan Clarkson?
No, I mean, I don't think they want to per se. I think that they're probably going to be required to as part of this process because teams are going to ask for him. You know, he's a good player. He's an assassin. He's an instant bucket. Like, he's that guy. So to me, you're not really going to have a choice. Do they want to, though? No, I don't necessarily think they want to. That, to me, is kind of a stretch, but I think it becomes difficult to keep a guy like Jordan because you're asking for a bunch of picks and some overvaluation on other players, and teams are going to want him. So, yeah, I think they do end up moving him, but I don't know that they necessarily want to trade Jordan.
Yeah, I think it's not a want to thing. I think it's a value thing. I think it's a thing where if you can get great value for him, you're going to do that. And I think there's tremendous value in Jordan Clarkson for you because one of the things that they've struggled with, and I think this is why THT's wearing a Jazz uniform, is that they have not had reliable scoring beyond Austin Reeves off their bench. And I think that you've had some interesting fill-in characters on that team. But if you make a trade with the Jazz that ends up with Jordan Clarkson wearing a Laker uniform, and let's say that trade is Beasley, Clarkson, Bogdanovich, you're a completely different team now. You are a lethal three-point shooting team at that point. But what do you have to give in that situation? And I think that's the equation here.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any doubt that the Utah Jazz would not mind keeping Jordan Clarkson on the roster. But the questions you have to ask yourself is, does it make sense to keep Jordan Clarkson on the roster? Does it make sense? A guy that's a valuable trade chip, he's respected around the league as a scorer. Does it make sense to keep him on the roster?
Yeah, I mean, I think, no, probably not because he's a veteran player. Like, I think probably not, but I also think he's been a great Jazz man. I also think he's represented the organization well. I think that he's been there through difficult times, great times, mediocre times. Like, he's, obviously Jordan's been here. He's been around. And, yeah, I think yesterday on the show we talked about, there was a comment made in the comment section there about how, if you trade away basically every name the fans knew, would there be concern about revenue issues? Because the jersey rollout wasn't great. You don't really have any big names on the team. I mean, obviously Colin Sexton is established, but he's not certainly Donovan Mitchell. He's not certainly any of these names that fans know. They just know that he's kind of good. So to me, I think a revenue is always a concern for any sports franchise, but I just think that the focus here is to get as much draft asset as possible so you can make more trades.
Yeah, and I don't think they're complete. I really don't. And I one of the questions that comes up all the time, well, why do you want to make the Lakers better?
Mm-hmm.
Well, is it really make the Lakers better, or is it put yourself in the best possible position to win?
Yeah.
I think that's what you're doing through these trades. I don't think this is a situation where you're like, well, I can't make a trade. And I can't remember, one of our guys always says that, and on Twitter yesterday, that was a huge discussion. I think Ken Williams is a guy who always says that, but this isn't an equation where you either make the Lakers better or you don't make a trade. You're doing what you need to do as the Utah Jazz to build a winner as soon as you can.
Yeah.
And if that's, hey, trading Clarkson, Beasley, Bogey to the Lakers, I think you do that. Obviously, Bojan Bagsnatchevic is a guy that's got a lot of value. Bagsnatchevic is a guy that's got a lot of value around the league. But I don't even care who you send him to as long as you get significant value in return.
Right.
And I think you've seen, with Royce O'Neal drawing a first-round pick. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
So, do you care who you trade him to?
No, I don't necessarily care. What I care about is the future of the team. That ultimately what matters because I think you run into problems, both in sports and in life when you're doing things based on how it affects other people. Like if you're gonna run your organization and you're gonna say, well, I'm not gonna make this trade because it makes the Lakers better. But what about all the value you get back? What about where your team is going? What about the assets that you need? So to me, it's just like you have to make decisions based on what's best for your organization. And again, Danny has said that. Danny has straight up said that, yeah, we traded Don because we felt like it was what was best for the organization. We felt like we had gone through 16 years of mediocre basketball where we were playoff good but not good enough to win a championship. And we felt like it was in the best interest of the organization to move on. And so that's what they did. And so that's why I say that same mentality should be taken to trade discussions. If it's the Lakers, if it's the Nets, if it's the best teams in the league, great. But do the deal if you feel like it benefits you to a high enough level.
I think that's exactly right. Benefits you to a high enough level.
Yeah.
It's a value proposition. By the way, some people are wondering about that D comment on Eric C.
Yeah. I mean,
do you want to take this time to apologize at all?
I'm not apologizing for anything. That's what the comment looked like to me.
I would agree with that. Okay, so are you ready to retract your statements about the Nets not being the best team in the NBA?
No.
Well, I'll give you a second to think about that. Because Eric C says, WTF, LOL. Everybody laughed at your comment, so it was probably funny.
Yeah.
But Eric C., we love you, dude.
Yeah.
Good to see you. NY Jazz fan says, Utah Jazz are not done. There will be more moves before the deadline, and I think before training camp.
Agreed.
I don't think there's any doubt.
There've already been more moves. I mean, let's not just skip over the Cody Zeller signing. Like you're seeing.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I know that that's not like a foundational, like life-changing move, but that's a move. I mean, you needed a big.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that. Justin Salas says, I'm guessing they want he doesn't fit their timeline. They don't want to, but he doesn't fit their timeline. I would agree with that.
Fair.
Derek says, I'm actually excited for the Jazz season to begin. Justin also says the Jazz need to develop their young players. You can't do that with these vets on the team. And I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
I think you need to. I think October is going to be one of the most interesting months of the season for the Jazz. Like, what does this team come out of camp looking like? Because one of these guys is going to emerge as a top-tier talent. I mean, that Walker Kessler?
It should be Sexton. I mean, he should be the guy that really pops off.
But is he back to being that guy? Because he was an all-star caliber player before the injury.
Yeah.
Is he back to being that guy? What is Vanderbilt's value? Is Vanderbilt still on this team? I think there's a lot of questions to be answered on that, and I think a lot of those will be, will be answered. Let's see. Kurt Meyer says, "Whoa, hello." I don't know why that comment won't load, Kurt. Anyway, here nor there. I think it's interesting to find out exactly how if you're the Jazz fans, how you build this team.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden my comments and my banners are stuck.
That's weird.
Jake, what the heck, man?
I don't know, man.
I think I think your D comment upset some people. So now we're cursed, right?
Okay, good. Well, Justin, I guess your comment was the most popular of the day.
I guess so. I think that's what I would do. I think if I'm the Jazz, I see who develops.
Yeah.
Out of this, I do. I think that's what.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that as an.
On better efficiency than Donovan before his injury. He's a great player.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great player.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any doubt about that.
But for the organization, let's not forget the history of development. It's not been good. And so that's why I think the development piece is the next sort of big step. Because if you think about it, we spent all summer talking about roster renovation, basically, and like how to rebuild this team and who's going to be here and who's not. Okay, great. Once you figure out who's going to be here, then what's the process to actually making them good and making this thing a winner?
Well, what's that process look like?
Yeah.
How does that play out?
Is that 5 years or 2 years or what's the deal?
Kurt Meyer says, I think Jordan is a proven player for the Jazz and to trade him is a big mistake. But again, I mean, what is his value to you now? Because he's taking minutes away from a younger guy. If you're truly developing talent.
Yeah, I mean, you're having a different conversation now. It's not about whether he's proven or not. He's clearly proven. I mean, you know what Jordan Clarkson is. And I think that both is a good thing and a bad thing. There are nights where Jordan is a black hole. The ball goes in, shot goes up, and he clangs it. And he clangs it 15 times a night on some nights. And then other nights, he'll give you 40. And he'll do it on super efficiency. So it's just tough.
Yep, Utah Jazz Talk on the Monty Show, presented by TryDayTrading.com. Go to TryDayTrading.com/Monty right now. Take their free webinar, because I'm telling you, stop looking and trying every single side hustle in the world. Pick the one that's going to make you money, that is fun, that you're passionate about, that can build generational wealth for you. And day trading can absolutely do that. Get to TryDayTrading.com/Monty right now and watch the free webinar. All you do is fill out the form, watch the webinar, and then make a decision. If you feel like it's a good fit for you, hey, go through the program, learn how to day trade with Day Trading's money. They absolutely give you their own money. That's how confident they are in their system. They're going to give you their own money for you to trade with at TryDayTrading.com/Monty. Get off the hamster wheel of side hustles. Get on with getting out of your 9-to-5 at TryDayTrading.com/Monty. They proudly present all of our Jazz Talk right here on the Monty Show. And I think one of the biggest questions is, who's the best team in the NBA right now? And I would tell you, as we redebate this, and you look foolish again today.
Okay.
But maybe that's just
that's how it's going to be.
Because you were born with a goofy look on your face.
Right.
But my point is, I still think it's the Brooklyn Nets. But here's a question for you. How good are the Chicago Bulls going to be?
Are you out of your goddamn mind?
You're talking to me about the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah. Alex Caruso's on that team.
Yeah, his headband. No, I mean, they're going to be good. Good enough. I think
mid-table in the East.
Yeah, mid-table in the East. I mean, I don't trust the Nets. That's my problem. I trust Kevin Durant in his ability on the floor, obviously. I think that Kyrie Irving is Kyrie Irving. You know, when he's out there, he's going to dominate. But that's not proven to be good enough to win. You know, what is the Ben Simmons dynamic end up panning out to be? It's great that we sit here and we say, yeah, Ben is just defensive focused and he's going to pass and he's going to be your point center guy. He's going to play center on defense and point on offense and it's all going to be hunky-dory. But the problem is that doesn't account for injury. That doesn't account for lack of chemistry because they flat out haven't played much basketball together. Everyone thought that James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant was sliced bread. And how did that work out? With all due respect, it didn't. And that's why I'm saying, yeah, on paper, they're the best team in the league. No doubt about it. I'm a Kevin Durant guy. He's right behind me, right? His face is right there. I love KD. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and give these guys the benefit of the doubt because they're selfish. They do what they want to do for their best interests. So halfway through the year, if they're, the 8th seed and they're struggling, is Kyrie Irving going to walk out on the team? Is Kyrie Irving going to figure out how to, build in another excuse not to play basketball? I don't know. That's my problem. That's why I don't think you can say they're the best team in the league because they have to prove they're reliable. I know that, I know Russell Westbrook will play. I know LeBron will play. I know Anthony Davis will play provided they're healthy. But again, injuries. So that's why I say I think you still have to give it to Boston or Milwaukee for now, or Golden State, obviously. Golden State's damn good. They obviously won the championship. I think it's those couple of teams, but I don't think we can say who the best one is right now.
Yeah, I think it's the Nets all day, and I think one of the interesting things that what I'm doing is I'm sitting here looking at the salary cap and their structure. I mean, their top three are unquestioned. I think Durant, Irving, and Simmons.
But unquestioned in what sense?
I think as basketball players, I don't worry about Kevin Durant getting on the floor and performing. I truly do not.
I agree with that.
I worry a little bit about Kyrie. I mean, the Ramadan stuff, the fasting stuff, the going on about the pandemic and that all of that stuff yesterday was not at all smart in my opinion.
Yeah.
But as a basketball player, the guy's a stud, and he's in a free agent year, so I think this is...
When he's out there, I think he's great.
But and he'll be out there. He is a guy, in my opinion, that's in a prove-it year.
Yeah.
I think Ben Simmons is in a prove-it year, but I look at the guys below that because the bottom of the roster is going to determine your fate anyway.
Agreed.
Joe Harris, Royce O'Neal, Nick Claxton, Seth Curry, Patty Mills, Cam Thomas, those guys are all studs. The other guy that I would point to is Kessler Edwards and TJ Warren. They're deep. And now TJ Warren's a huge injury concern. He's going to have to make the team, but they're deep. If you look at O'Neal, he gives you that energy. He's only going to have to play 15 minutes a night on that team.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to be a starter or a full-time guy. You look at Nick Claxton, Joe Harris, Seth Curry, Patty Mills, Cam Thomas.
Yeah.
That's a good roster.
It is. It is.
That is a good, deep roster. And I still maintain that the Philadelphia 76ers, and I think the Sixers are indeed better than the Miami Heat.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you look at the Sixers roster, that's where the biggest questions in the Eastern Conference are. Because when I look at Philly's cap, I still cannot believe every time I pull this cap up that Tobias Harris is their top paid player at $37 million.
Are you out of your goddamn mind?
I just cannot believe that. And he's got 2 years left on that deal, but fine. Okay, so Tobias, Joel Embiid, James Harden, and PJ Tucker. Those are three guys who have been through it a little bit. And I am, a guy in a prove-it year, James Harden.
Mm-hmm.
And he's in great physical condition. The question is the depth on that roster. Furkan Korkmaz is a guy that you're just not winning a championship with him as an important guy, in my opinion.
Right.
But I look at Thibault. I look at Tyrese Maxey. Montrezl Harrell, I think, was a huge signing for them. You look down the roster a little bit. Shake Milton can play on that team. But they're not nearly as deep as Brooklyn is.
Yeah.
And then if you go and look at Miami, like I look at the numbers on the Miami Heat, and I just don't see flexibility there when you're paying Jimmy 37 and Bam Adebayo's making 30, Kyle Lowry's making 28.
But they have experience. That's their edge. They have a lot of experience.
Victor Oladipo, that's a huge guy on that team.
Yep.
Vic has to be good for them. But I look at Duncan Robinson making $17 million.
Bad contract.
But so I go back to Milwaukee. I believe that health is going to be a huge thing for them.
Yeah.
I don't love that Giannis played in Eurobasket. Well, I don't love that because you're asking for that guy to get hurt. But if you look at Milwaukee, is Milwaukee with this roster?
Yeah.
With this roster, ask yourself, is Milwaukee as deep as Brooklyn? When you look at the Bucks, and of course I'm sitting here waiting for it to load, Giannis on his own is making $42.5 million.
Right.
Okay, fine. Chris Middleton, $38 million. Can you count on Chris Middleton?
Yes.
Big injuries coming back from.
Yeah, I think he's fine.
Drew Holiday, proven player.
Yeah, proven.
Brooke Lopez.
Proven. No, he's proven.
Breaking down.
Yeah.
Bobby Portis.
Does his job.
Grayson Allen.
Does his job.
What does Joe Ingles have left?
I think that's a big question mark. I think Joe could have a nice season for the Bucks. Absolutely. I think Joe could be that three-point sniper that you bring in for 15 minutes a night, 20 minutes a night, something like that. I think it's unrealistic to expect him to play more than that. And I think that for Joe, I just don't think you need to play more than that. I think if you can come in, get your 4 3-point attempts up, and maybe go 2 of 4, 3 of 4, and then take a seat, you're good to go. That's 12 points a night. That's 12 to 15 points a night. That's what you're looking for out of a Joe Ingles.
Yeah, I just don't think they're nearly as good as Brooklyn. I look at their depth, and let's go Bobby Portis down, right? Because I think that's your depth. Portis, Grayson Allen, Joe Ingles, Pat Connaughton, George Hill, Serge Ibaka, Thanasis doesn't play. Wes Matthews, $2 million player. They're going to count on Wes.
Yeah, they are, but yeah.
I just don't see depth in that.
The Nets are the best team. And I don't deny that. I don't deny that on paper the Nets are the best team, but I'm telling you, when you have chemistry issues, again, it's a problem. And it's, again, you can buy the best talent, but if the best talent doesn't play as a team and they don't play as a unit, they're not going to win an NBA championship. I just don't care who you are. And that was the big surprise with Boston, obviously, this past year, that they got outclassed by Steph Curry at their building. And that can't happen. And it did happen. And that's what's so frustrating for Boston fans. And I think for Brooklyn fans last year, you should feel pretty good about yourself. You were 5 inches and a toe away from moving on. That's what we're talking about. So
then let me ask you this. How good is New Orleans?
I think, I think they're going to be better than they were last year, but everyone's all, stoked on Zion Williamson. He's got the best body ever. Everything's hunky-dory. Let me see what you can do on the floor. I know you're a big body.
Well,
I know you're physical.
I'm more stoked on the development of a guy like a Herb Jones, who I think is a really good player. I'm more stoked on, Devontae Graham, Jonas Valanciunas, Brandon Ingram, C.J. McCollum. Like I think but again, not close.
Yeah,
not close.
Yeah.
So all roads lead back to Golden State.
Mm-hmm.
How good is Golden State? I mean,
they're just as good.
They're just as good, right?
Yeah, they're just as good.
But you look at the money at the top of that roster, $48 million for Steph.
But how much have they won?
Clay's making 40. Wiggs is making 33.
Yeah.
Gray's making 23. And then it falls off from there. And it'll be interesting. I still maintain the Brooklyn Nets are the best team in the NBA. We'll see if it manifests itself. I don't know. Apparently, Jake, while we were deep into discussions on the NBA, our screen blinked and some people lost the show. But Boyd Lake's back, Kurt Myers, Zaman, Wings of Gumby.
Sorry, boys.
I don't know what happened there.
That is beyond our control. I'm
Justin
not sure what happened there.
Justin Salas continues to break the show. That's all I can think. NY Jazz fan says, great roster in Brooklyn that somehow will find a way to implode in the locker room.
Agreed. Completely.
Ruff's official says Minnesota.
Hey, man.
Minnesota is definitely the best team in the East.
He's a brilliant guy.
MI Jazz fan says Jingles is a glue guy. Don't let the old man get hot from three either. He's got some value still, I think. I think he does. Sam J says the University of California Board of Regents will discuss the school's proposed move to the Pac-12 in a closed session in the upcoming meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. Correct.
Yeah.
And that's why, but again, and we're talking about George Kliavkoff. Do you understand that that's why George Kliavkoff went on this Wilner-Canzano podcast? It was a hit piece.
Yeah.
It was a hit piece on UCLA.
Truth, 100%.
There is no doubt about that. He wanted to torpedo their but the math doesn't add up for them to stay or go. So you're going to go. You're absolutely going to go. Greg Hawkins, sup y'all? Kurt Myers says, Joe is a big guard forward that can shoot from three and pass the ball, also a decent defender. Well, he wasn't a decent defender in the end of his time here in Utah.
I wouldn't say he's a decent defender.
We'll see. I mean, he's had a lot of time off, and he's rehabbed from this knee injury, so we'll see. I don't know. NY Jazz fan says injuries are always an issue in New Orleans. Keep Zion away from fast food and buffets.
Yeah, chicken nuggies.
Chicken nuggies?
Yep.
Chicken nuggies and fries. Hey, want to remind you guys to hook it up with our guy, Devery Davis at Academy Mortgage. Devery is absolutely positively my mortgage guy. I say it all the time. He's written 3 mortgages for me, and I would never go to anybody else. I only trust my mortgages with Devery at Academy Mortgage. The Davis lending team is not some huge operation where you're just a number in a file, and sometimes they forget about you and they never call you back. No. At the Davis lending team with Devery Davis, you are getting personal service. They are calling you. Devery Davis is calling you personally. He's texting with you. He's telling you, hey, you're going to call him and say, hey, Devery, can I really afford a down payment? Can I afford 30, 40, 50 G's? Mm-hmm. I don't have that kind of money. He's going to give you down payment programs and options where there are programs where you don't have to put any money down. There are programs where, like, did you know that if you're a law enforcement officer or a public servant, you don't have to put any money down on a mortgage? Like, there are programs out there, and so many people just lack the information.
Yeah.
So when you're ready and you're thinking to yourself, and if you're sitting here today asking yourself, dude, I don't think I can afford a mortgage. Why are we talking about this? You don't know what you don't know. Call Devery Davis, 801-543-9666. 801-543-9666. Talk to him, because trust me when I say you can afford a lot more than you think you can.
You're listening to The Monty Show, my favorite peeps. I'm Devery Davis with the Davis Lending Team, powered by Academy Mortgage. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, you don't know what you're doing, you bought multiple homes, second homes, investment properties, multifamily, we've got you covered. Our office consists of everybody it takes to do your loan, from processing to underwriting to doc departments. We do it all right here. We're not waiting on Tucumcari or Walla Walla, Washington to answer an email. We take care of it here. The housing market's changed. Prices are dropping. It's the greatest time to buy a house. There's no such thing as a dumb question. If you have any questions, you give me a shout. I'll walk you through it. Have a great day. Tell my money guys I said what's up.
What's up, Devery Davis? That's our guy, man. I'm telling you, he's salt of the earth.
Yep.
He is a Louisiana Bayou native, and the guy is just, you love talking to him.
Yeah.
He is, honest to goodness, he's like doing business with a friend. So call Devery Davis at the Davis Lending Team at Academy Mortgage, 801-543-9666, NMLS number 278545. Couple more comments before the show ends. Tom Basilius says the saddest part of conference realignment is the rivalries that are ending. Hey, man, Mike Gundy talked about, Bedlam ending again, not by his own doing, which I think is amazing. Kay Nurin says, I still want Cleveland to come out of the East and Minnesota out of the West. Boy, you're rooting hard for those former Jazzmen. What does George know, and when did he know it? He knows nothing. He knows absolutely nothing. That's what George Kliavkoff knows. Hey, great show presented by the Advocates, Utah Injury Attorneys, UtahAdvocates.com. Much more on the Pac-12 tomorrow. Again, that UC Board of Regents meeting is tomorrow. We will continue to effort, comment, or hopefully an appearance on the show from Dallin Holker. Maybe Bob Holker comes on the show.
Maybe.
I don't know. He seems to be the spokesman. We'll try to get that figured out. But until tomorrow, say goodbye, George.
Goodbye, George.